Oh, for fuck's sakes, you gotta be fucking kidding. Oh, I see little bubbles. I think, maybe. You fixing the glass, perhaps. Hour of the Tiger from 3:10 to 5:09. Ah. Hey, wait a second. That was the last one last time. Why didn't that? No, that wasn't the last. That was the first one last time. Oh, well, I thought I had some to copy and paste about the crime minister, the gangster general, or whatever the fuck it is this week. It's fucking us over.
Shooting, I go Bob the Builder. Yeah. Certain man gotta fix up quick. The general. Are you dumb? Batter, who, when, where, never fix up. I let my dread hang, put 12K for my G-Back. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have to fix. I'm the shopper, Jug Mark, booming in the 6. How you get it? Out the mud, community housing. North side of the Rex, places you weren't allowed in. Bitches used to laugh at the kid and I wanna see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming in 3D. Forrest Gump into the money, you looking like Bueller. You feel it's not for everybody, I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars, that was that way they were shooting. I go Bob the Builder for the fix up if you acting funny. Yeah.
Are you dumb?
Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me, who can I trust? My mom's and I in a women's shelter, it was just us. A man trying to comfort a kid, I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? Backhand the back of your head, they tell you head back. They wanna let they sick in the head, but then we dead there. I'm trying to put a foreign on road, and then we head that. Going down like Titanic is how I found where her head at. Keep a young mind with me, that would make you say, ooh. 4-1 to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my Playboy bunny, I guess I'm you. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS, got a text, now your wife giving sex. Are you drunk? It's don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you will get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his fangs. It's don't get close, so we the gang. Rolled up, be the hardest stove, y'all butter slot. Block party turning up, till the dogs locked it up. All of them, they cock a lot, see them and they nodding block. Matching us behind the mat, know what I will do to all. So on the clock, I'll be bringing back the holocaust. Hit them up, long distance, no calling. When I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me cause I'm back from the metal bars. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treat it like an acrobat, flip it and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they G's, all they
Yes, nigga. Red tape. What up, nigga? Free Slim. We out here. Don't get close, nigga. We the creators got the shooters behind me. FOGs the white lights, the 990s. So don't sleep, no, nigga. We are one. Don't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the creators got the shooters behind me. FOGs the white lights, the 990s. So don't sleep, nigga. We are one. Don't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. On the same stage, running with the same click. Never gonna change, no nigga. Only change hoes and the pool, but only if it's fucking up. Play some aim and niggas above the button. Working hard in the paint, no patch of fucking up. Repack and flip that to get our shit up. Rack it up. The other option is a stick up. Never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. From the slums, little homie. When you play hard, you wanna see the 30 when the streets off. 20 people walk around 3/8 for the beef. The 40 to lick them down, the max for the EC. Heard niggas saying but they wanna make tracks with us. Before that, didn't even crack to us. Going hard in the booth, it's a takeover. Hard in the ground into your face, that's a makeover. 2 and 5 for a Q. The rest profit. Hustlers, when I say won't sleep till I knock it. And don't push me, cause I ain't in the top. 12-year-old school, so I ain't scared if you got it. Y'all got it. It's just you comparing to me. I ain't finished my fair share yet. On that air, them just started. And I ain't talking about no jump shot. Brush them off, don't top. You know the call, heard my tracks. Didn't think I was capable. 4 5 pipe on my heart. Didn't think I was capable. 4 5 pipe on my heart. It isn't traceable.
You niggas gon' ride something like a flat tire. Feel the fire at your back, it was backfire. Cause my gap's the same size as a blow dry. That looks true in your raps, you some damn right. Great job, making spit through the wire. And you don't supply shit, you a buyer. I'm the king of gang rap, call me sire. That's me, remember you rate and admire. You have a grip tight, no pliers. I gotta take you out, probably quit, so retire. You got the 4th room down, 5th lift from up. Bells don't leave shells, so I'm switching up. Something like a bus driver still picking up. Got your hands in your pocket, nigga, stick them out. I'm a projects, money's no objects. So we finger fuck max and we contact.
Slide in, slide out, got where we ride out. Down, go. I got rounds at you dumb town. Stop you standing up till I tell them sit down. Stomach on the ground, hands behind your back, on your back. When I'm digging in your pants, see me that up in your crib. All for the rest. He said, take the weed, leave the cash. What? I'ma do him dirty, mad max. So niggas get back, bitches get smacked, they get smacked face down when I'm breaking her back. Yo, we got metal like a rap, made a name in rap. I ain't setting it for trap. Yo, I'ma need me a bag, that C-O-L-T. Carved in my rack, still unstolen. Stereo scratch on my actions. Stop the madness, I'm reeling up, get it gone. Mad shit, they can't go sleep like I don't got a night show. Summer ain't class, didn't see drop, now I'm running bottom close. I ain't doing wrong, but I'm clear, blood strong till it drips on my car. Till it highly dangerous and no to me arms rough pages. Sicker than sharks, I ain't saying this, but I'm a hot star. Off snap, crack, pop like Keller. Off snap, run, drop, just hide when I let her run. Man in the mask, man in the act, man with the strap to your man's vision black. With the phone dog and off snap, OGs for YGs, scroll clap, we clap. Do you come and try me? 70s and 90s, been moving grimy. Blood rush till it's hooked up to the ivy. 4 or 5 on stretcher, and they think it's dope. Until they end up on a stretcher, better get a coffin. Yo, Critians, so we ain't in a no long talking. Money overflow, back on my bullshit. These punks that I grew with, acting like they're too sick, too. No cash making me ever switch sides. Or battle to the Jakes, almost get my crunch fried, my mind's fried. See, I don't give a fuck, skank it with a YG. Guarantee you hit them up. Take a nigga slut, man, you know me. Never look back since my first pack in 03 pack, nigga. Plus I get busy with these OGs, screaming outside all the police. Fucked up when I nip 1.5 a beef. Snakes selling cop chops, now you owe me 10 G's. Till I go to sleep, kill you for the 80K. The marksman, shoot for fun. What the fuck's a murder one? Bad news if you run into the DBS. All I do is give one nod, then he breathes the tech. Then he breathes the tech. All I do is give one nod, then he breathes the tech. We the Critians got the shooters behind me. I OGs the YG, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, no nigga, we all one. Won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the Critians got the shooters behind me. I OGs the YG, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, nigga, we all one. Don't matter who it is, bound to get the job done.
Steps, 4.53 kilometers, 224 calories burned.
Motherfucker.
dying breed. Twin hammers look like the Siamese. I got that beam from the Japanese. My French girl wavy, you reminded me of mac and cheese. It is what it has to be. I'm killing out who's after me. They have to see we rich and I swear it wasn't financially. Like who we frontin' for? They flying like there's a trampoline. These bitches couldn't marry a guy. It wasn't Magdalene. My strap like a little bro of a tag-along. It's these instrumentals we got been bragging on. It's roast with beer broke class riches we drag them on. The nigga with the gate and Sega, what they were dragging on. The Megatron, landing in Lebanon. He was slapping that back and forth like a tether ball. Used to live on Fletcher Street, right in the Esplanade. Bitches wanna ship and make us film it like espionage. You know that's why they set for it. Like why you niggas ain't protect your neck for it? Chopping in shit so we win. Like connect for the cylinder, always a spin. I connect for it, right into your dome when I get it out the chest to drawer rapper. When you go on tour, it's all music. Maybe when we go on tour, it's all shootings. Like other shots got kicked, I gotta shoot it. Nigga, if you talk that talk, you gotta do it. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down breed. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down breed. Like you just wanna go on tour and make music. Every time you go on tours, it's all shootings. The last of a dying breed. Yeah, I'm the last of a dying breed. I uppercut these fucks in the chin and they fly with ease. I bleed what I have to bleed. This blood's what I have to see. So big, go sit with your fam. I call it Applebee's. Who the fuck trying to get stuck? Tell them ask for me. That match pack about to get struck. I brought the gasoline. I've never lost. I got OGs to get it back for me. Calm me down, calm with a crown. Call me your majesty, God. They try to handle me, Lord. No, I don't play that. The bullets in that gray Mac A-track. They go way back. I buy them up, top your mug. Look where the safe at. With numbers on your head, you already covered in face tats, boy. Why they always trying to snake that, boy? Charlie got the defibrillator to shake that, boy. Forget about it. You turn me to Rocky ASAP, boy. I'm the last of a dying breed that wanna break that, boy. Like, you bringing all that beat to the farm, my man's branded you. If you don't get respect in the streets, I can't stand with you. They tell you you a threat on the beat, your man's scamming you. The band's just like a beast when it spins. Crash Bandicoot, pull up with a camera crew. Cannons in your face now. Anybody that's liking to us is liking face down. White boy, nice with a pen. This ain't no 8 Mile. We playing hopscotch in the spots where the body's traced out. Cause when you go on tour, it's all music. And baby, when we go on tour, it's just shootings. Drive-bys, your eyes wide shut, we gone Kubrick. See, we ain't really about all that talk, we just do shit. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down breed. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down breed. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music. I'm the last of a down breed. And every time you go on tours, it's all shootings. I'm the last of a down
The problem is this is completely gummed up in resin. Every time I try to aim that off, it heats up and I get a big, huge lungful of THC vapor. It's not necessarily a problem. It's a little...
Sorry, man, I gotta fix it quick. General.
Let's go to the damn salad.
Dumb, better, who, when, where, never fix them. I let my dreads hang, put 12K for my G-Stack. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have to fix. I'm the sharper's drug mark, booming in the 6. How you get it out the mud, community housing. North side of the rest, places you weren't allowed in. Bitches used to laugh at the kid, not wanna see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming and see you. Forrest Gump to the money, you looking like Bueller. You figure it's not for everybody, I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars, that was that way they were shooting. I go Bob the Builder for the big stuff if you acting funny. Certain mans get crushed on road, they keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me, who can I trust? My mom's and I in a women's shelter, it was just us. A man trying to comfort a kid, I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? Backhand to back to your head until you head back. They wanna let me sick in the head, but then we get there. Trying to put a 4 in our road, and then we head there. Going down like Titanic, it's how I found where we head at. Keep a young mind with me, that will make you say, 4-1 to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my Playboy bunny, I guess I'm cute. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS, got a text like your wife giving sex. Are you drunk? It's don't get close, it's don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you will get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his back. It's don't get close, it's don't get close, so we the be the hardest stone, y'all butter soft. Blocks mighty turning up till the dogs block it up. All of them we talk a lot, see them and they nod and block. Matching if I had a map, know what I would do to all. Go on the clock, I'll be bringing back the Holocaust. Hit them up, long distance, no calling. When I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me cause I'm back from the middle bars. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treated like an acrobat, flipping and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they cheat, all they do is rap beat. Talking all that shit up been on Smack DVD. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. No matter who, when, where, never. Are you done? Money is gas, taking the dash, feel like a blast with that on my cash, taking it slow, I'm taking it fast, face on the dash, whipping that ass, fuck with the cats, I don't fuck with them rats, throwing it back while she busting it back, talking that shit, better watch how you act, doing the game and the place in the sack, I know I'm real bit like the missing link, all my bitches small with a lot of ink, all I really know is I want more bling, money calling me, I keep on chasing, you see me on stage and I'm glowing, you not believe where I'm going, I'm fucking with the speed I'm stroking, son and rappers coaching, don't fuck with my vibe when I'm smoking, judging all these rappers by the clothing, need a role model and a Trojan, real spoken while I'm promoting, emotion, demons in my head, keep on facing them, smoke the pain away, I can't erase it, damn, if you roll it up, you better lace it down, oh yeah, uppers and them downers and I chase it down, pussy chasing me, I do not chase it down, catch me online, got the playlist, wanna ride, I got the spaceship, I stay lit, fuck the police and the racists, ride for my homies and I'll never turn, baby. Cremated when I die in a diamond urn, baby. I love some thick thighs, yeah, I never learned, baby. The devil in disguise, but my friends call me Hades. Living up like I'm lucid, in the woods with these druids. Chilling with the humans, getting stupid off these fluids. Rooted in the music, the money is elusive. You say you taking shots, my homies really shooting. Something different. Yeah, I hope you hear the difference. This is not a coincidence, legitimate imprisonment. Your lyrics sounding belligerent, I'm feeling that deliverance. I'm tired of being considerate. Your music is sounding like some gibberish. Everyone's hearing me killing this. I'm the rapper and the instrument. I don't know what you talk about. All my homies is innocent. The leader of the syndicate. This music is my stimulant. All my rhymes are written intricate. I'm feeling this. Listen closely when I'm spitting this. People should consider this.
You gotta be shitting me! You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I'm a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
My crimes are heinous. Yo, I killed the beat like I'm a raceless. I do it while I'm faded. I'm shameless and I don't need payment. I'm feeling like the greatest. It's time to show my faces. Fear and loathing Las Vegas. Never will they tame us. They hating on this rapper, but they will not claim us. The new school rappers looking brainless. Yo, and all these young kids celebrate them, making them contagious. I hit you with the latest. I'm dropping all this hot shit like the runs have a haters. Calling all creators, surrounded by the famous. Big dreams, I'ma make it one day. Oh God. 666 up from the dash and I say, get the cash. That's all she had to say, y'all. Had me up all night, bad ride. Big dreams, I'ma make it on God. 666 on the dash and I say, get the cash. All she had to say.
Oh, what'd you do? What did you do? App may not work as please. That's not what I asked for at all, is it? No, just navigate around however you want. That was like 3 clicks in a row I didn't do. Thanks. There's something else I have to take care of later. No, it's not working.
Maryland, Patapsco River, including Maryland. The hazardous weather conditions are expected for the gale warning.
Longe da vista, perto do coração. You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
What relevant shit that we hear from CRI was
Now, as gunshots
WHO
echo across the
team
wind
was
swept
testing
snow-covered
positive
reaches of the wild
for
northwest,
antibodies that I guess they shouldn't be. I'm slightly confused here.
the breakfast cereal shot from guns present the challenge of the Yukon.
Remember, this is the country that detains Canadians arbitrarily.
It's Yukon
And,
King,
not too many
swiftest
countries do
and
that.
strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the
U.S.
trail
doesn't count
for
because you could
Sergeant
equally be a
Preston
criminal
of
in
the
the U.S.
Northwest Mounted Police
It's too
in his relentless pursuit of
closely
lawbreakers.
related.
Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush, with Quaker Puff wheat and Quaker Puff rice, bringing you the adventures of Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog, Yukon King, as they meet the challenge of the Yukon.
What the fuck are you eating, you little fuck? That's not the food. You're grinding wood down so much. You bastard.
Fellas and girls, here's a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Tomorrow morning, treat yourself to the breakfast cereal shot from guns. That's the one and only.
Is also advocating globalization through multilateralism.
China says its COVID vaccines are safe despite the accelerated development process in China's public transport sector. Now the news. I'm Shane Bigham. Apple has reported holiday quarter sales and profits that beat Wall Street expectations. The revenue for the quarter ended on December 26 rose 21% to over 111 billion US dollars. New 5G iPhones have helped push its handset revenue to
Tracks leading up to the door. He examined them closely. The northern lights flashed across the sky, and he was able to make out several red spots on the freshly fallen snow.
Wounded.
Sound like I own a cat, eh?
They came here because he knew that Angie would help him. Well, I'll have to find out how serious it is. Hello, Angie.
Dr. Warren.
Yes. I want to see Bill Norwood.
What do you mean? Bill isn't here.
I know he is. I followed him.
You did?
Is he badly wounded?
No, I mean...
You'd better let me come in.
Oh, all right. I don't know how badly he's hurt. It's his right arm, he says.
Doc, take off your shirt. How did you know? How do you happen to be here?
He said he followed you.
Here, I'll give you a hand. That's the idea.
There's water in the pan and antiseptic in that bottle.
Good.
You can use this cloth to bandage the wound.
Fine, we'll wash it first.
Follow me?
Yes. I'm the one who shot you.
You did?
It's only a scratch. I didn't mean to hit you at all.
You saw me waiting. Waiting for...
Yes, that's right. Wasn't hard to figure out what you were up to. I was up on the ridge and I could see the Garland sled coming along the trail. And you waiting for it. I shouldn't have fired. I only meant to scare you. I should have called instead. I didn't want to use your name.
What about the driver of the sled? And the guard?
They stopped and looked around, but they didn't see you make your getaway.
I suppose you feel I ought to thank you.
For shooting you?
Well, I don't.
No, I don't expect any thanks. I had to stop you, though. That's all there was to it. You'd understand if I told you why I was walking along the top of the ridge so late. I'm not going into that.
I'm thanking you, Doctor.
Sure. Obey the law. Let Garland get away with murder. Do you know what he's done now, Doc?
Yes. He's gotten a court order to stop you and all the other small miners on Willow Creek from working your claim.
Sure. Until a government survey is made.
I know.
And that'll take months. What are we going to live on until the new boundaries are set? None of us have any money. We're going to have to sell out to Garland.
There. Your arm will be all right in a few days now.
Thanks, Doc.
And Garland isn't going to get away with anything, Bill.
Huh?
I mean, you haven't been forced to sell out to him yet. You'll be able to hang on somehow. Something will happen.
What?
I don't know. But don't forget, while there's life, there's hope.
It was just a week later that one of the Garland Mining Company freight sleds set out from headquarters for Dawson. Snow was falling heavily,
32
and the
pounds
guard
of
walked
gold.
ahead of the sled, breaking the trail for the team. It was hard going, and he complained bitterly.
Well, fine time to be starting out.
All the proceeds in the company store.
How could it be worse? It'll be dark in another half hour.
You scared of getting lost?
Yeah, that'll be a cinch. I can't see a foot in front of me.
The dogs won't let you get off the trail. Cut out the grousing.
Why should I?
Depends which trail the dogs think you want to follow.
Supplies back for tomorrow night. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, the old man.
The man and the dogs trudged on. They had just passed Pinnacle Rock when it happened. It seemed to the guard that he suddenly faced a solid wall of white. Then something hit him in the back of the ear. He fell to the ground unconscious. The driver started forward to see what was the matter.
Joe, what's wrong? Joe!
Then he too was hit and dropped to the ground. Neither the guard nor the driver were hurt badly. In less than 10 minutes, they were on their feet and examining the sled.
The gold's gone.
Any idea how much there was?
No, the box wasn't very heavy, though. Did you see who it was that hit you?
I didn't see anything.
Neither did I. That's going to be a fine story for the old man.
Well, what else can we tell him?
I don't know, but we'd better tell him right away. Come on, Whitey, we're turning back. This way, boy.
Whitey, Blackie.
An hour later, they made their report to Jonathan Garland, and the owner of the mining company roared his disapproval.
What kind of nincompoops do I have working for me? Letting yourselves be robbed in broad daylight.
Lester, it was almost dark and it was snowing hard.
Well, come on, who was it that did it?
I didn't see anybody.
Neither did I. What's the matter? Are you blind as well as stupid? Describe the man.
I didn't see any man, sir.
Then maybe it was a ghost that stole the gold.
Maybe.
Are you dumb?
All I saw was something big and white. No arms, no face. Just a shape in front of me.
Are you drunk?
No, sir.
Just what are you two trying to put over?
Nothing, sir. Joe's told you just how it happened.
I know what you're up to. You're protecting somebody.
No, sir.
I know the way you talk. My own men, too. You're in sympathy with those two-bit squatters on Willow Creek, and you're against me. That was one of them. You've got to get money or sell out to me. This happened near Willow Creek, didn't it?
Well, it was past Willow Creek by Pinnacle Rock.
Close enough. Which one was it?
As far as I'm concerned, it was a ghost.
It won't do either you or them any good to hold back the truth.
We've told you the truth.
I'll find out who it was. Steal my gold, will they? $2,000 worth. Think they can beat me that way? Well, I'll show them. Go on, get out of here. Get to Dawson and bring back those supplies. Report this robbery to Northwest Mounted Headquarters. Tell them I want a constable assigned to the case. No.
Mentality.
You tell the inspector I want Sergeant Preston. This lawlessness has got to be nipped in the bud. Go on, get out.
The trail robbery created a sensation in Grand Ledge and on the creek surrounding the town. But although Jonathan Garland offered a $2,000 reward for any information leading to the capture of the hold-up man, there were no clues forthcoming. The people began to talk of the robber as the Ghost Raider. And by the time Sergeant Preston and King reached Grand Ledge, they had almost begun to believe there was something supernatural about the whole affair. Not Jonathan Garland, however.
The mystery man, the Ghost Raider. There's no mystery connected with this crime, Sergeant. I've told you what the situation is between me and those miners on Willow Creek.
Well, that's hardly proof that one of them robbed your sled.
But you can get the proof easy enough. They've all been starving. You find just one of them that's been buying supplies for a change, and you'll have the guilty man.
Well, it's an angle. That's all I can say.
You catch him, and the reward I've offered goes to you.
The members of the force don't accept rewards for doing their job. The robbery's been committed, so it's up to me to find out who did it. But I'll have to give you a warning, Jonathan.
Me?
You. There are practically no clues. My investigation will take time, and I'm not going to be stampeded into making any accusations.
All I say is it must have been one of
We'll
them.
decide who it must have been when all the evidence is in. Come on, King.
Where are you going? Are you going to make your headquarters here?
No, Jonathan. Doc Merrill's an old friend of mine. I'm going to stay with him. It will be more convenient living in town.
Don't you pay any attention to what Merrill says. He thinks I'm giving the Willow Creek squatters a dirty deal.
Every man's entitled to his opinion.
What's that?
But you can rest assured that I won't let anything interfere with my handling of the case. Come on, King. That same night, two hard-featured men were talking together at a corner table in the Grand Ledge Cafe.
Judd, I think I've latched onto something. In this dead town? I say let's get out of here, Ben. Now, wait. It's about the Ghost Raider. Well, I gotta admit that was a slick job. It's too bad you can't think of something half as good. Now, hold it. Here comes Preston.
Ben Milan and Judd Howell.
That's right, Sergeant. Howdy.
When did you two arrive in Grand Ledge?
Just this afternoon. And the night before last, when the robbery took place, we were in Dawson. You can check with Tex. I won $100 from him at Faro, and Judd here was watching the game.
You're ready with your alibi.
I'm always ready to help the law, Sergeant.
See that you stay inside it.
He won't find the Ghost Raider. There isn't a clue for him to work on.
You can't tell about Preston. He never gives up.
You'll have to this time. And when he goes back to Dawson, then the Garland freight sled will be robbed again. By us.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
But we won't be blamed, Judd. We'll be wearing white hoods and a white cloth over our parkas. It'll be just one more job to the credit of the Ghost Raider. We can afford to let him have the credit as long as we get the gold.
We'll continue with our adventure in just a moment. I wonder what would happen if I went into a Dawson City eating place some morning, said to the fellow at the counter, let me have a bowl of Quaker puffed wheat, please.
Man the guns! Explode the bowl!
Did I hear you say...
What are you fretting about, mister? Didn't you want that there breakfast cereal shot from gun?
Well, I sure did.
Well, that's what you're getting.
Well, thank you. I was just a little surprised you folks up here in the Yukon knew that Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice are breakfast cereal shot from gun.
Sure. Everybody knows about them premium flavor-rich grains of Quaker puffed wheat and rice being exploded up to 8 times normal size.
Right. That makes them bigger and better tasting.
That recording, Santi Di Briano leading the group.
Decided to keep its benchmark interest rate unchanged at the record low level.
Reckon ahead.
Well, Quaker puffed...
You go, I wonder if you could focus on why vitamin B matters so much for our moods, the B vitamins, and which foods contain them.
Sure. Vitamin B is really also essential for our moods and also brain.
Will you start saying that shit first?
Flavorful, tenderly crisp cereal that
tell me what it does for
mouth.
Oh, it helps
the
your
one and only
moods.
Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice. Shot from gun. Remember, fellas and girls, to always look for the red and blue packages with the smiling Quaker man on the front. he's your guarantee you're getting the real McCoy. The original, crisp, fresh Quaker puffed rice and Quaker puffed wheat. Never sold in bags or bulk.
That's your problem right there.
Now to continue. Sergeant Preston spent 3 days in Grand Ledge, and on the evening of the third day, he reported to Jonathan Garland.
Jonathan, I'm going back to Dawson tomorrow.
You found the Ghost Raider?
No, I haven't, but I have a theory.
Then why are you leaving? I demand...
Hold it, Jonathan. I have a theory and a plan. My leaving's part of the plan. Now listen. I checked your statement that none of the miners on Willow Creek have been buying supplies for some time. That was true. But all of them have been buying food during the past few days.
There, I told you.
And I've heard whispers like this. Jack found a poke of dust in his woodpile, and John found one outside his door.
My gold dust.
I believe you're right. My theory says that the Ghost Raider is a sort of Robin Hood. He's taken from the rich to give to the poor.
There must be some way to find out who he is.
I'm coming to that. My plan. I'm telling people that I have to leave town for a while, but that I'll be
None of
back.
these guys had
Point
any
one.
savings whatsoever.
Point two is up to you. You haven't shipped any gold into Dawson since the robbery.
Of course not.
Well, let one of your men drop the word that you're going to start again tomorrow night. And let him hint it will be a big shipment.
I'm not going to take any chance.
I don't expect you to. A sled will start out from here, but it won't be carrying any gold.
No.
Your regular driver will handle the team, but I'll wear Joe's spotted parka and take his place as the guard.
How can you? You said you were leaving tomorrow morning.
I'll make a big circle around the creeks, and I'll be back here at dusk.
So that's it. A trap for the Ghost Raider. You think he'll try to rob the sled?
Yes, if he thinks I'm out of the way.
Why?
Because 50 miners can't live on $2,000 for 6 months. They'll need more money if they're going to hold out against you.
And the Ghost Raider will try to get it for them. And you'll put a bullet through him for his pain.
I won't shoot unless I have to.
It'd be only what he deserves.
I won't go into that. You can expect me back here at dusk tomorrow. Come on, gang.
And so the following morning, the sergeant said goodbye to the doctor and the townspeople and hit the trail for Dawson. That afternoon, the doctor received a call from Angie.
Come in, Angie.
I'll only take a minute of your time, Doctor.
Something wrong?
No, not with me, but do you know Mike Sloan?
Yes, he's one of Garland's drivers.
Well, they say he was in the cafe a little while ago, drinking quite heavily. And he started talking.
About what?
He has to drive the freight sled to Dawson tonight. And he'll be carrying gold, a lot of it, $20,000 worth. He doesn't like the idea.
He's afraid there'll be another holdup?
I'm afraid there will be. I'm afraid for Bill.
Angie, you think Bill is the Ghost Raider?
Oh, he denies it, but I don't know. He tried it once. If it hadn't been for
He
you,
gave you his promise, Angie.
I can't help the way I feel.
Well, why don't you make sure he doesn't do anything wrong tonight?
How?
Don't let him out of your sight until you're sure the sled is halfway to Dawson. Ask him to help you in the store.
I will. And if he refuses, I'll refuse to marry him.
He won't refuse, Angie. I'm sure of it.
The northern lights and the moon were bright that night, and the shadows of buildings, trees, rocks, men, and dogs were deep black across the glittering snow. The sergeant and Mike, the driver, picked up the Dawson trail beyond the town. The sergeant, the hood of his borrowed parka pulled well down over his face, walked in front of the team with King by his side. As they neared Pinnacle Rock, bulging from the wooded hillside, the sergeant raised his hand in a signal to stop.
Oh there. Keep the team quiet, King.
What's up, Sergeant?
The holdup took place just beyond that rock, didn't it?
Yeah. There doesn't look to be anybody around tonight, though.
No way of seeing on the other side of it.
Think somebody might be waiting for us there?
It's possible. You draw over the side of the trail and wait there till I wave you on.
What are you going to do?
Keep to the trees, climb the rock on this side, and see what's ahead.
You'll be able to tonight.
Try to keep the dogs quiet.
I will.
Come on.
It was nearly half a mile to the rock. The sergeant and King kept to the shadow of the trees for the whole distance. They moved silently, but King was unable to hold back a low growl when they reached the base of the great boulder. Easy. Cautiously, they began to climb the weathered slope of the rock. They were nearing the top when King growled again and stopped. A second later, a shot rang out. It came from the top of the hill. The sergeant hugged the snow-covered surface of the rock and looked in that direction. He could see a white figure on the crest and realized he was exposed to his fire. But just as he was reaching for his pistol, he heard voices on the far side of the rock.
We gotta get him, you fool. It's the Ghost Raider. He wants to hold up the sled himself. Shoot to kill. Right. Good, you got him. I don't see him. No, he dropped down on the other side of the ridge. We're all set.
Judd Howell came.
All right.
Judd has shot the Ghost Raider. Now, it shouldn't take long to clear this up now. But leave Mike home and then we step out on the trail. I got to drop on from up here.
The sergeant rose to his knees and beckoned for Mike to come on with the team. A moment later, he saw the dog swing out into the center of the trail.
Yeah, they come. You all set? Yeah. Pull that book down.
Slowly, the sergeant and King crawled to the very top of the rock. At last, on the far side, in the shadow of the rock, they could see Ben and Judd crouched and waiting. Mike and the team were racing up the trail.
Now, follow me. Right. All right, stand right where you are. Oh, well there. Up with your hands and you won't be hurt. Where's the guard?
The guard's right here. You're both under arrest in the name of the Queen.
Get him. Oh, my arm. Get away, Sergeant.
Drop your gun, Ben, or you'll get the same thing.
All right, don't shoot.
Pick up the gun and keep him covered till I get down there, Mike.
Right.
The sergeant snapped a pair of handcuffs on Ben and then bandaged Judd's wound. As he worked, Ben argued.
All you can charge us with is attempted robbery.
And attempted murder, or perhaps murder itself.
Murder? No.
You shot the man up on the hill.
I didn't. It was Judd. And anyway, that was self-defense. He shot at us.
Yes, I wonder why.
It was the Ghost Raider. Really, Sergeant?
I think so.
And he's dead?
I'm going to find out about that. Maybe lying just over the ridge. If he is, I'll bring him down here. If he's only wounded and got away, well, I think King and I'll trail him.
You want me to take these two back to camp?
Yes, Mike, I'll call down to you. Come on, King.
A few minutes later, the sergeant and King arrived at the top of the ridge. There, they found a red stain in the snow and snowshoe tracks leading away from it.
He's gone, Mike. I'll meet you back at camp.
Good luck, Sergeant.
Go on, King. Follow the trail.
The trail led down into the trees, but there was no difficulty in following it. And slightly less than a mile from town, King stopped and began to dig in a snowbank beneath a large pine.
What have you got there, King?
It was white linen, a garment of some sort with a red spot on it. The sergeant held it up. It was a surgeon's gown.
Yes, King. You know who this belongs to, so do I. What you don't know is that I'm going to have to arrest our friend. Lead the way, boy.
There was a light in the doctor's cabin. When the sergeant knocked on the door, it was opened almost at once, but not by the doctor, by Angie. Bill Norwood stood just behind her.
Where's the doctor, Angie?
He's in his bedroom. He's been hurt, Sergeant.
Shot himself, accidentally.
I just put a bandage on him. I don't think he should be disturbed.
Oh, that's all right, kid. You run along. But, Doc, I don't want to. I've got some business with the sergeant. Go on now.
Come on, Dan.
All right. Come in, Sergeant. Come on, King.
You better sit down, Doc.
Yes.
Here, you drop this.
Oh, my gown. I won't be needing it anymore.
Sorry I can't throw it in the stove. It's evidence.
I know.
Why'd you do it, Doc?
Sergeant, I found out a little while ago that I could only live for 6 months. But that was too long to do any good. And I couldn't commit suicide.
I don't understand.
You will. Take this envelope. Yours to open it afterwards. Take it.
Doc, do you mean you're going
It's
to...
all right, Sergeant. Things are working out.
You wanted to help the people on Willow Creek.
Of course, they were starving. There was only one way to do it.
And you were going to hold up the sled again tonight.
Yes. But a funny thing happened. I was up there on the top of the ridge. I saw you and King on one side of Pinnacle Rock. I didn't recognize you until I recognized King. I could also see two men on the other side. You and King seemed to disappear.
We were climbing the rock.
I thought you were walking around it. I thought you were walking into an ambush. That's why I fired at those two men, whoever they were, to draw their fire, to warn you.
I see.
To tell you that, well, maybe it isn't a good reason, but I want to ask a favor.
There's only one thing I can do, Doc.
Are you sure? Can't you let me surrender myself to Garland? Wouldn't he have to pay me the reward?
$2,000? But you stole $2,000 from him.
It would cancel the debt. That's what I mean.
You could never make it out to the camp alone.
My dogs are harnessed out and back. I could ride the sled. I can make it, and there's no sense in just sitting here and waiting. Let me go, Sergeant.
All right. I'll be coming after you in 10 minutes.
Thanks, Sergeant.
Ben and Judd had been locked up at the mining camp, and now Jonathan Garland was pacing the floor of his office, eagerly waiting for the sergeant's arrival and questioning Mike about the events on the trail.
You're sure the Ghost Raider was wounded? Yes, sir. And you won't have a chance of getting away from Preston. There he is now. Open the door.
Doc!
Hello, Mike.
What's wrong with you, Doc?
Nothing now. Jonathan, I've come to collect that reward.
Huh? You know where the Ghost Raider is?
Yes. He's right here. I'm surrendering to you, Jonathan. Your reward cancels what I owe you. Right?
You're saying you're the Ghost Raider?
Right. And that we're even.
No, we're not. We'll be even when you're behind bars.
I'm afraid there won't be time for that. No. Oh, Doc. No debts. No debts. Forgive us our debts. Doc.
Doc. He's dead, sir. See underneath his shirt? He's been bandaged in the blood. He's dead. Sergeant, Doc's dead.
Yes. Goodbye, Doc.
Well, he said he was a Ghost Raider.
He was.
Said we were even.
He surrendered to you. You are.
Fool.
No.
What else? To get himself killed for a pack of mangy squatters. And they're no better off now than they were before. I'll get every one of their claims.
You're wrong again, Jonathan. The Doc's beaten you, though he had to die to do it. Look, an insurance policy for $10,000. He made me his beneficiary, and he wrote me a note. Here, let me read this to you. Dear friend, the enclosed policy will be paid off through the Alaska Trading Company. Will you see to it that the money goes to the miners on Willow Creek? I couldn't, but you can. Save their homes. Save their right to happiness. Goodbye. That's all.
Sergeant, that's only a request. The money is legally yours. You don't have to part with a penny of it.
Oh, yes, I do. Every penny, and I feel honored because of the trust Doc had in me. Don't make any mistake, Jonathan. I'm going to carry out his wishes. This money's going to the miners on Willow Creek. You're not going to force starving men to sell out to you. Doc's won. I know, King. You feel just as badly about losing your friend as I do. The law may not say so, boy, but he was a good man. Now his case is closed.
In just a moment, Sergeant Preston will give you a preview of Monday's adventure. Say, the owl is a wise old bird, and here's my idea of someone who's plenty smart, too. It's the person who makes his breakfast cereal delicious, nourishing Quaker puffed rice or Quaker puffed wheat. For school, work, or play, remember rice or wheat shot from guns furnishes added food values of restored natural grain amounts of vitamin B1, niacin, and iron. Delicious, too. Pour out a bowl full of those tenderly crisp king-size kernels. Top with milk or cream and fruit, and take a big, luscious spoonful. Man, oh man, what swell eating. Yes, be smart. Enjoy this breakfast treat. Always go for the big red and blue package of Quaker puffed rice and Quaker puffed wheat. Never sold in bags or bulk. Listen Monday when Sergeant Preston and Yukon King meet the challenge of the Yukon in the case of Casper Mott's adventure.
King and I arrived at the constable's office in Selkirk to find an excited group reporting a bank robbery. The two crooks had stolen Casper Mott's sled for a getaway, and since Casper was about the only one who could identify them, I took him with us. The trail led us into a situation where we faced two killers.
Be sure to hear this exciting adventure Monday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Enterprises, directed by Fred Flowerday, and supervised by Charles D. Livingston. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the same time by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice, the breakfast cereal shot from guns.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
The Challenge of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers.
Minus 19 tomorrow, minus 23 the next day. Yeah,
Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush, with Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog Yukon King as they meet the Challenge of the Yukon. The sergeant reined up on the bank just below the falls.
Oh, hold there, Blackie. Easy now.
He looked down at the whirlpool the Indians had named the Devil's Cauldron.
Falls aren't very high, King, but once Jim went over, he didn't have a chance. No one could fight that whirlpool. Good boy. When you look at me like that, fella, you seem to understand every word I'm saying. You know something's wrong anyway. Yes, a sad thing, boy. When you get to Bill Cameron's cabin, you'll find only one of your old friends. Bing will be there, but his master, young Jim, Bill's son, is gone. Well, might as well be getting on. Steady, fella. Get up, fella.
Bill Cameron's claim was above the rapids, and the falls had faded to a distant murmur when the sergeant reined up in front of the cabin.
Hello, fella.
Bill was standing in the doorway.
Hello, Sergeant. Good to see you.
Hello, Bill. Are you making out with your claim?
It's very nice fun with me. Running over $100 a day.
Fine.
Hello, Chief.
Well, I guess he's looking for Bing.
You won't find the setter here.
No?
I couldn't stand having him around. That boy wouldn't have drowned if it hadn't been for Bing.
Oh, really? That isn't the way I heard the story.
That is the truth. So I'll admit the dog didn't have anything to do with his slipping and falling into the rapids. I heard Jim calling for help, and I saw what happened.
Well, if you'd rather not talk about it, though.
What's the difference? I can't forget it. Jim had managed to grab hold of a rock just above the falls. That stupid dog swam out to him.
I'm trying to save him.
How could he do that? I had the rope. I could have thrown it to Jim. I could have pulled him ashore. No. Jim saw the dog wasn't going to be able to make the rock. He tried to reach out and grab him. He lost his own hold. They both went over the falls and in the whirlpool. Somehow or other, the dog wasn't caught by it. Jim was.
You have my deepest sympathy, Bill.
I'm just explaining about the dog.
The dog go because he's going to live anyway.
I wouldn't let him in afterwards. I drove him away.
And he went?
Oh, he hung around for a while out in the forest.
It might have been better for you if you'd let him stay.
Why?
You both loved Jim. He'd have been a companion.
I couldn't stand the sight of him. Anyhow, he's found a new home. That's what I want to talk to you about. That's why I left a message for you at Jake's Roadhouse.
Your message only said that someone was breaking the law up here.
That's right. A minor.
A minor?
M-I-N-O-R, not E-R. A boy.
What?
He can't be more than 16.
Hardly sounds like a dangerous character.
Maybe not. He's breaking the law just the same. He staked a claim about a half mile upstream. He's fixed up an old lean-to and he's panning gold.
A boy of 16?
Yes.
Just about your son's age.
I don't want him around. He has no right to be here. The law says that no one under 21 can stick a claim.
There's no law against his working a claim that's staked in someone else's name.
What do you mean by that? That you're not going to make him leave?
I don't know, Bill. I think it might be a bad thing for you if I did.
Why?
You've suffered a great loss. Jim was more than a son, really. He was a partner and a friend. But there are a lot of boys in the world that might remind you of Jim in every town and city. You're not going to spend the rest of your life here, are you? Just because you're afraid to remember?
Afraid? I remember too much.
Well, I'm not going to promise anything till I have a talk with the boy.
I'll pay him to get out of here. Take him back to Dawson with you. I'll give you enough money to put him through school. Anything you want.
Well, Bill, I don't understand.
You will. When you see
1,000 seeds in each of these. Okay, that's what I
it's
said.
impossible. It's more than a man can stand.
Sergeant Preston watched Bill as he turned on his heel and walked back into the cabin, slamming the door behind him. Then he mounted and rode on up the river.
Steady, Blackie.
Blackie.
Around the next bend, he
You get the
saw
horse
the boy
from
standing
Whitey.
on the edge of the bank. The black and white setter Bing was standing beside him, looking up into his face. The boy had a stick in his hand. He showed it to Bing, and then he threw it out into the stream.
Go and get it, boy. Go and get it.
Bing ran to the water's edge, but there he pulled up short and only balked at the stick floating down with the current. King barked a greeting. Bing whirled and saw him and the sergeant. He raced to meet them.
Hello there, Bing. Oh, fella, easy.
How do you do, sir? My name's Mike Trevor.
Glad to meet you, Mike. I'm Sergeant Preston.
That's a wonderful
Trevor,
dog
that's
you
two
have.
first
I like
fucking
him.
names.
Hey, I've heard of you. But this must be King, the best lead dog in the Yukon.
He's pretty good.
And you called the setter Bing, did you?
That's right.
Do you know who he belongs to?
To Bill Cameron, your downstream neighbor.
That's funny.
What is?
Well, why won't Bing go home? Every evening he goes down to the bend and stands there looking at Mr. Cameron's cabin. He stays there until the sun goes down, then he comes back to me. I don't try to keep him here. He just sort of adopted me.
Well, that's because Bill doesn't want him anymore.
Why? He's a beautiful dog.
Yes, he is.
There's only one thing wrong with him as far as I can see.
What's that?
Well, he's the first setter I ever saw who was afraid of water. Did you see me throw that stick in the river a minute ago?
Yes?
He wanted to go and bring it back to me. But he's afraid to.
I'll tell you why, Mike. Bing used to belong to Bill Cameron's son. His name was Jimmy.
The sergeant told young Mike about the tragedy that had happened a few months before.
The
The reason why Bing was no longer welcome at the Cameron cabin. The probable reason for his being afraid of the river. When he had finished,
Yes, that explains about the river. But Bing shouldn't be blamed too much for what happened. He was only doing his best to help. Come here, boy. You feel just as bad about Jim as anybody, don't you?
Do you know why he likes you?
I guess because he hasn't got anybody else to like. Same as me.
You resemble Jim a great deal, Mike.
Do I?
When I first saw you, Giuseppe was shocked.
Is that why Mr. Cameron is so unfriendly?
It's the main reason, I think. Now, tell me something about yourself. How do you happen to be all alone in the world?
Well, Gramps died about 2 years ago. He was all the family I had.
an hour later, the sergeant dismounted in front of Bill's cabin and knocked on the door.
What was this show competing with schedule-wise?
Yes, I was going to ask you, son.
Of course, come in, sit down. Come in, kid. That chair is the most comfortable.
Thanks. Okay.
Well, what did you do? Is he leaving?
Bill, as you know, I have the power to act as magistrate in this district.
I know. What about it?
Well, I've decided that young Mike should have a guardian.
That's a good idea. Somebody to watch out for him.
Magistrate's a judge.
You mean you're going to take him back to Dawson with you?
No, he's staying
could lock
here.
you up and let you go.
He has to be close to his guardian. I'm appointing you, Bill.
You what? Sergeant, I told you how I feel about the boy. What kind of a deal is this? I refuse. I absolutely refuse. You can't make me his guardian.
Well, it's true, I can't.
Then get him out of here. I won't have anything to do with him.
Will you listen to me for a minute?
Nothing you can say can make me change my mind.
Took his money.
Mike's a nice kid.
It doesn't matter.
He's all alone in the world, has been for the past 2 years. And though he won't admit it even to himself, he's had a hard time of it, Bill. Now he's found a nice little claim, and you want him to lose it.
It isn't a question of money. I'm willing to pay him to get out.
He wouldn't accept your money, but he will clear out if you insist. He understands why you don't want him around. He's willing to go.
All right, then.
Would Jim like it, what you're doing?
It's because of Jim.
Well, that isn't answering the question. Jim admired you, Bill. He thought you were as square as they come. Let me talk just a little more. Mike made $200 trapping last winter. He thinks that's a lot of money. You and I both know it will take him more than that to buy supplies for the coming winter.
I'll pay him.
He's proud. He won't take your money. But you're privileged to stake 2 claims on this creek. Mike's already changed the name on his stake to yours. It belongs to you. All Mike would like to do is stay here and work it for you at whatever wages you set.
You think I'd take any of the gold he panned?
You might hold it in trust for him, as a guardian should.
I don't want any part of it.
Wouldn't Jim like you to give the kid a break?
I'd have to see him day after day.
No, you wouldn't. He'll report to you once a week, that's all. You wouldn't have to talk to him for more than a few minutes.
Why are you doing this to me, Sergeant?
What am I doing?
You're making me think with Jim's mind. You're making me consider what he'd want me to do. It isn't fair.
Oh, I think it is. It's for your sake I'm making you consider what Jim would feel. You'll only blame yourself later if you don't.
All right. You win, Sergeant. Let the boy stay. Let the claim be in my name. I'll be his guardian. I'll see him for 5 minutes a week.
Good. 5 minutes. Bing could use a kind word from you, too.
I won't be using any kind words, and I don't want the dog brought here at all. Is that understood?
Whatever you say. I'll tell Mike. Somehow I don't think you'll regret this kindness, Bill.
And so it was arranged that Bill Cameron would be Mike Trevor's guardian. Mike reported to him once a week, but the interviews were always conducted with strict formality, and Bing always waited at the bend of the river for his new master to return.
This is going somewhere.
Inside his cabin, Bill watched them round the bend. He closed his eyes.
Too much now. It's getting worse instead of better. He's too much like Jim. It hurts too much to remember all the time. Maybe I'd better clear out of here. Clear out of the Yukon.
That same night, 3 hard-featured men were talking to an old sourdough called Windy Smith, one of the cafes in Dawson.
Boys, I tell you, they haven't begun to find all the gold there is in the Yukon.
Except nobody knows where to look for it.
Well, I won't say that either. I know where to look for it.
Then why don't you, instead of wasting your time around here?
Well, I got other interests.
Other interests? The only interest you got is in catching another drink.
Well, now that you mention it, I am a little dry.
Oh, no thanks. You don't catch me paying for any more drinks.
Just one more, Smithy.
I've had enough. And why should I set you up? You're nothing but a big bluff. You're full of hot air. That's right. Windy's a good name for him.
What do you want to know about this country that I can't tell you?
Where there's gold. How about that?
Well, I could name you a place.
Go ahead.
Costs money, though. Valuable information.
How much money?
$100.
You can keep your information.
No, wait. I can prove what I'm saying. I got the word of Jake Munson, and he's the squarest roadhouse keeper on the Yukon Trail.
Ah, there'll be a catch. You'll name some creek where all the ground's been staked months ago.
There's only one claim on this creek.
Yeah? I'll give you $10 if you tell us where it is.
Let's see your money.
There's $10 worth of dust in that poke.
All right. I'll tell you.
Let it stay there till I hear what you have to say.
Sure. It's the White River. Flows into the Yukon about 20 miles north of here. There's some falls about 2 miles upstream, and then some rapids. Gold is above the rapids. That's where Bill Cameron has his claim.
Bill Cameron?
Well, he's been up there over a year, and he's been cleaning over $100 worth of dust out of his sluices every day. All summer long, he's been doing that. And now do I get the $10?
Hey, go on. Take it.
You got there. You see, I'm telling the truth.
What do you say, Smitty?
Sounds pretty good.
You mean we're really going to stake a claim? I thought we were going back to Frisco.
We are.
What'd you win $10 for?
Because I like the old man's story. This Cameron, $100 a day all summer long. He must have it up there in his cabin. And that, nobody else on the river. Yeah, sounds to me like we're going to travel back to Frisco in style.
The following morning, Windy, his eyes bloodshot and his hands trembling, went to the Northwest Mounted Headquarters and asked to see Sergeant Preston. He was shown into the sergeant's office and then...
Sergeant, I'm afraid I've done something wrong.
Now, what is it, Windy?
Well, I don't mean I've broken any law, but last night in the El Dorado, I told some men about Bill Cameron's strike up on the White River.
Nothing wrong with that. Plenty of pay dirt up there waiting to be claimed.
Yeah, but it was the men I told it to. Smitty and Bat Kelly and the one they call Keg.
Nice company you've been keeping.
Well, I was broke, Sergeant. I didn't have a dime, and they offered to pay me $10 if I'd tell them where they could find gold. Oh, I shouldn't have done it, but I needed the money.
The law has nothing against those men. I don't see that there was anything wrong in telling them.
Well, they've left town. They've gone up there.
That was to be expected.
But, Sergeant, when a man goes prospecting, he needs digging tools. He needs a pan to wash out the gravel. They didn't carry any tools with them. I made sure before I came to you. It has me worried, what I said.
What did you say, Wendy?
About Bill making $100 a day ever since the breakup.
Oh.
I'm afraid Smitty and the others are going up there just to rob him.
When did they leave?
5 o'clock this morning, they told me at the hotel.
Did they take horses?
No, they went on foot, and one of them told the clerk at the hotel they wouldn't be back. Figured on taking a steamer for the outside at 40 Mile. Well, maybe I'm just imagining things, Sergeant.
I hope so. It doesn't look that way to me.
Are you going after him?
Right away. Come on, King. Night had fallen when Smitty, Keg, and Bat reached the White River and started upstream toward Bill Cameron's cabin. But a full moon turned the falls and the rapids above to silver. They could see the cabin ahead of them. There was no light showing.
There's the place.
Good-sized sluice, but not much of a gravel pile.
Well, he's washed out all the gravel he piled up during the winter.
Good thing for us. What if he makes trouble, Smitty?
Ah, he's asleep.
We'll have to get in the cabin.
The odds are the door is unlocked. Quiet now.
Silently, the men approached the door of the cabin. Smitty tried it.
That isn't barred. Come on. There's a cot over in the corner. Yeah. Sound asleep.
Wake up, mister. You got visitors.
Who is it? Nobody you ever saw before, or will ever see again.
You've got a gun?
Yeah, and I'll use it if I have to. Where's your gold, Cameron?
What makes you think I have any gold?
That sluice outside, for one thing. Now, don't stall. Where is it?
What if I refuse to tell you?
It wouldn't be healthy.
You won't get any gold from me.
You want us to make you talk?
Try it.
Okay, here's a starter.
Hey, what'd you use your gun for? You knocked him out.
We can bring him to if we have to. We look around the cabin first. Keep an eye on him, Bat.
Right.
Smitty and Keg made a systematic search of the cabin, the shelves, the cupboard, the wood box, the inside of the stove, but there was no sign of any gold. And then accidentally, Keg stepped on a loose board.
Hey, this floorboard's loose. Maybe there's something underneath.
Pull it up and see.
Yeah. There's something. Yeah. Here, look.
Hand me one of the bags.
Here.
Let's see. Yeah, gold dust. Plenty of it. Let's have the rest of it.
All right.
Cameron, we can't just leave him here. He'll go for help. He'll have the Mounties after us before we can get to the steamer at 40 Mile.
What is that?
Oh, either a wolf or a dog. I'll take a look. Oh, I don't see anything.
It's a dog.
Wait a minute. There's somebody coming. Way downstream there. See where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
It's a man on horseback.
Man on horseback. Hey, we gotta get out of here.
We'll get rid of Cameron first. You're right, Bat. We don't want him putting any Mounties on our trail.
Gonna shoot him?
No, he's out cold. We'll throw him in the river. The current will carry him down into the rapids and over the falls. They'll never find him.
And what about us?
We'll head north, over the ridge and down the other side to the next stream. We'll follow that back to the Yukon. Now hurry up. Give me a hand with Cameron.
The man Smitty had seen on the trail near the mouth of the river was Sergeant Preston, but the dog he had heard was Bing. The setter howled and barked and tugged at Mike's blankets until the boy was wide awake. Then Bing insisted on being let out and that Mike follow him. When they reached the bend on the river, Mike saw 3 men disappearing around Cameron's cabin in the direction of the ridge. But Bing was interested in the river and started running down the bank. Then Mike saw a man struggling to keep afloat out toward the middle of the stream. The shock of the cold water had brought Bill back to consciousness.
Mr. Cameron!
Bill had swallowed some water, however, and he was feeling the effects of the blow. His struggles were becoming weaker when Mike dove off the bank. The boy was a strong swimmer, and he reached the drowning man's side in a few seconds.
Well, take it easy. I'll get you into shore.
I can't.
It's all right. I've got you.
Mike's arm went around Bill's chest and under his right arm. The boy started towing him toward shore. Now the current was swifter, and the rapids were boiling directly ahead. Mike saw that he wouldn't be able to make it to the bank. A large black rock rose out of the water just above the rapids, and Mike headed for it. He grabbed hold of it and held on.
How are you?
Almost done for.
We can rest here for a minute.
Try to save yourself.
No. You'll get your strength back, then you'll be able to hang on. I'll swim into shore and get a rope. Tie it to that tree, come back out and tie it around this rock. Then I can get you back to shore, hanging onto the rope.
At that moment, Sergeant Preston reined up on the bank.
Oh, there, easy.
He's on a horse. It must be summertime.
Mike?
Yeah, I got Mr. Cameron here. Can you get a rope for my cabin?
I have one in my saddlebag.
How about tying it to the tree and then throwing it out here? I'll tie it to the rock.
Will it hold?
I think so.
I don't know. How strong are you?
I'm fine.
The sergeant studied the situation as he took a long rope from his saddlebag and tied one end of it around the tree. His plan became set in his mind. He called out to Mike.
Mike, I'm going to send King out with the rope.
What?
I'm going to tie it to his harness. Can you hang on to him with one hand and Bill with the other?
I don't understand.
When King gets to you, grab his harness and hang on to Bill.
Yeah?
The rope's tied to the tree. The current will swing you into shore. You'll be pulled underwater for a few seconds, but I'll be here to pull you out as soon as you get close enough. Understand now?
Yeah.
All right. Here, King.
The sergeant tied the rope to King's harness as Bing ran up and down the bank, frantic with worry, but still afraid to enter the water. The sergeant led King upstream.
We'll get you as far upstream as we can, boy. As far as the rope will let you go. The current's going to carry you down mighty fast. You'll have to fight against it. All right, boy. Go on out to them.
The sergeant watched anxiously as King struck out from shore. The setter, inspired by his example, started after him. The sergeant held him back.
Oh, Bing, you stay here. Go on up to that.
King fought the current so effectively that he reached a point in line with the rock well above it. Then he turned and allowed the current to carry him downstream. As he neared the rock, Mike reached out for his harness and pulled him in.
This is where we're all going to have to hang together, Mr. Cameron. I won't let you go, but if you can hang on a little, it'll help.
I will.
Get a tight hold around my waist. I got you under the shoulders. Here we go, King.
As Mike shoved off from the rock, the combined pull of the current and the rope dragged the 2 men and the dog under the surface of the water. But they were swung swiftly in toward the bank, and as they reached the quieter water, they rose to the surface. The sergeant was waiting to pull them out, but Bill lost his grip suddenly, and Mike was unable to hang on to him. Bill was floundering, fighting for breath. Bing, the setter, could be restrained no longer. He leaped into the water and swam straight toward him. Bill grabbed at his silky coat, held on, and Bing started swimming back to shore. Another second, the sergeant was at Bill's side, helping him in.
All right, I've got him. That's a good dog. I've got him, Bing. You can stand up here, Bill.
I don't know.
It's all right. I'll carry you.
Can I help, Sergeant?
You run ahead, Mike, and get some coffee on the stove. We're going to put him to bed.
10 minutes later, Bill was sipping a steaming cup of coffee as the sergeant questioned him about the 3 men who had thrown him in the river.
That's all I remember. The gold was under that floorboard.
It's been ripped up.
There's nothing there now.
I didn't turn out to be a very good guardian, Mike.
Sir, you don't think I blame you?
I could have at least kept my door bolted.
You say they headed for the ridge, Mike?
Yes, sir.
King can trail them. You'd better stay here till I get back, Mike.
Well, yes, sir. If Mr. Cameron doesn't mind.
Do you, Bill?
No, Sergeant.
I'll see you both later. Come on, King. We'll have to get over that ridge fast.
When Smitty, Keg, and Bad had stopped for a moment at the top of the ridge, they had seen the sergeant carrying Bill into his cabin. And even at the distance, they've been able to make out the
dramatic
uniform.
So we
get a Mountie right on our heels.
Maybe Cameron was dead when he fished him out.
And maybe he wasn't. What if he talks?
I'll tell you, the Mountie will come after us.
And we go to jail.
If he manages to arrest us.
What's to stop him? Might get as far as 40 Mile, but that's all.
Look at this draw we just came up.
Oh, what about it?
It's about the only way up the ridge.
Hey, there he is coming out of the cabin. See? Forking into the woods.
Yeah. In about 15 minutes, he'll be coming up this draw. We'll wait for him right here.
Wait for him?
Behind these rocks with our guns ready. We'll get the Mountie first, then we'll go back and clean up the rest of the evidence against us. Come on. We'll take cover in the top where there's a good field of fire.
The men took cover. 15 minutes passed. 20. A half an hour. Still, there was no sign of the sergeant and King.
What's happened? Keep quiet. I didn't take us this long to get up here. I don't like waiting this way.
Would you rather wait in jail?
I feel the same way kicked us, Smitty.
You're going to stay right here until you see the Mountie.
You can't leave me because I'm behind him.
He's up there at the top of the ridge.
Drop your guns, all of you. Stand up and turn around with your hands up.
Now turn around, all right?
Anyone else feel like shooting it out?
No. How did you get up there?
I walked. King warned me this door wasn't safe, so we took another route. Where's the gold?
It's all here.
Doing bad? Pick it up.
You're all right.
I've been wounded bad.
You're lucky you're able to complain about it. Let's see.
My arm.
Yes. I'll see that it's bandaged and I get back to my horse. Won't interfere with your walking. March. You're all under arrest in the name of the Queen.
March.
The sergeant bandaged Smitty's
You're
wound
all
at
under
Bill
arrest in the name
Cameron's
of the
cabin.
Queen or the Crown.
Then he prepared to take his prisoner back to Dawson. I'm wondering just how close this case is to being finished, Bill.
Well, it seems to me you've done everything, Sergeant.
Well, Smitty and Keg and Bat will go to jail and you'll have your gold back. But I'm not quite satisfied.
I want to thank you and King for saving my life.
You have somebody else to thank for that. King and I wouldn't have reached you in time if it hadn't been for Mike.
We've been talking about it, haven't we, Mike?
That's right, Bill.
Oh, so it's Bill now. What happened to Mr. Cameron?
We haven't finished our talk yet. Will you shake hands, Mike?
Why, sure.
It's hard to ask the sort of favor I'm going to ask now after the way I've treated you.
Why, you've been swell, Bill.
No, I haven't. To tell the truth, I've almost hated you. And the reasons for that were all wrong. It was because you looked so much like my Jim. You were alive and Jim was dead. I resented your being alive.
Cleanest vinyl in
If
the
you
world.
still want me to go.
No.
Is that like an artificial vinyl?
I only want you to do me a favor.
That's it.
I want you to forget the way I've acted.
I've understood, Bill.
Can you understand this? Now, I feel there was some big reason for your choosing the White River to stake your claim. That somebody arranged it that way. And that maybe Jim himself had some hand in it. Because he knew that his old dad was lonely. What I'm trying to say, Mike, is that, well, I think Jim wants you to take his place here. Will you, boy?
It'd be great to have some folks again.
Shake on it.
All you gotta do is buy some guns with some of that gold. Get rid of that gold, trade it for guns.
Should be a
First
third
step.
member of this partnership.
And who is it, Judge?
Somebody asked
Standing
you
just
just
outside the door.
Who?
You make $200 a winter.
I wasn't sure you wanted him inside.
Oh, here, boy. Come on, Bing. Yes, fella. You belong here, too. Welcome home, boy.
Dog is
He's a
so
good dog.
confused.
It certainly is. And now that that's settled, King, our work is done and the case is closed.
Now, here's Sergeant Preston with a preview of our next adventure. The case of the renegade husky.
King and I were hunting an escaped convict.
The trail seemed to lead to a dead end at the Widow Blair's restaurant in the town of Poker Bend. It was a dog called Daisy who finally touched off the climax, and a mighty exciting climax it was.
Be sure to listen to this exciting adventure Wednesday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created and produced by George W. Trendle, supervised by Charles D. Livingston, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Wednesday until September, when we shall resume our regular Monday, Wednesday, and Friday broadcast. This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye and good luck till next Wednesday.
Who's the program director?
现在他不在，请问您哪位？
我是他的朋友。
您要留言吗？
不用了，谢谢。
Keywords reminder. Who's calling, please? 请问您哪位
Who this?
This is 小丽，我是小李。Hold on a second, please. 请稍等。All in today's Chinese studio.
Who that? Who that? I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
That wraps up today's show. Now it's time for the question of the day. How do you say "hold on a second, please" in Chinese?
明天见。
明天见。
Oh dear, oh dear.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
challenge of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail for Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police in his relentless pursuit of lawbreakers. On King, on you husky! Gold discovered in the Yukon. A stampede to the Klondike in the wild race for riches. Back to the days of the gold rush, with Sergeant Preston and his wonder dog, Yukon King, as they meet the challenge of the Yukon. Sergeant Preston was driving along the trail to Wolf Creek when he sighted a team heading toward him from the opposite direction. As the team drew closer, the sergeant recognized the driver as a sourdough named Bernie Mitchell. Bernie's face was excited as he halted his dogs and jumped from the sled runners.
Today, about like 200 sourdough recipes around the world.
I thought I was had to go all the way to Dodson to get hold of him, Marty.
What's wrong, Bernie?
You know Joe Hopwood, the storekeeper at Wolf Creek, don't you?
Of course. What about him?
Well, he was shot to death last night. And all the gold in his safe was stolen.
Any idea who did it?
Well, the folks at Wolf Creek think it was Doug Leonard.
Doug Leonard? Well, I know Doug. He's no killer.
Of course he's no killer. I've been friends with that young fella ever since he staked his claim. And I'm willing to bet he's not guilty. But the trouble is, there's evidence against him.
What sort of evidence?
Well, there was a handkerchief lying in front of the safe. It had Doug's initials on it.
Is it really Doug's handkerchief?
Yeah, he admits it belongs to him. But he claims he lost it about a week ago.
What about the clerk who worked for Joe?
Well, he wasn't there when it happened. He'd gone to Dawson to bring in supplies. Got back last night. He was the one who found the body.
What's been done with Doug? Has he been taken prisoner?
Yeah, they got him locked up in the stockroom back at the store. We better not waste any time getting there.
What do you mean?
Well, that gold that was stolen didn't all belong to Joe. A lot of it belonged to the miners. They didn't like to keep it around their cabin, so they got Joe to store it in his safe. If they get stirred up against Doug, well, there's no telling what may happen.
Do they act as though they might take the law into their own hands?
Well, they weren't acting yet, but just before I left town, I stopped off at the cafe, and there was a fellow there named Marcus Tate who was talking about lynching.
Come on, Bernie. Get the team turned around.
You bet, Sergeant.
All right, King. Up front, boy. On King! On you, husky!
At that same moment, back in the settlement on Wolf Creek, Ruth Leonard was just entering the general store. She was greeted by the clerk, Van Buckley.
Hello there, Mrs. Leonard.
I've brought some food for my husband.
We've got him locked up in the storeroom.
Oh, yes, I know, but you'll let me in to see him, won't you?
Well, all right, I reckon that won't do any harm. Just a minute while I get the key.
What are you doing with that gun?
Just want to make sure he doesn't try to escape when I open the door.
But you know Doug better than that. Surely you don't believe he's guilty.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Leonard. All I know is that Doug's handkerchief was lying in front of the safe.
Doug lost that handkerchief a week ago.
I know that's what he says.
Well, it's true, I tell you. Doug didn't leave the cabin last night, and what's more, his sled has a broken runner. So how could he have hauled away all that gold that was stolen?
Well, I don't know what to think, Mrs. Buckley. I sure hope your husband is innocent. But just the same, I'm not taking any chances.
All right, I suppose there's no use arguing.
Come on, I'll take you back to the storeroom. Ruth, honey.
Hello, darling.
If you don't mind, I think I'd better lock the door.
Well, go ahead.
When you're ready to go, you knock on the door and I'll let you out.
Gosh, I'm glad to see you, honey.
Oh, you're not worried, are you, Doug?
Of course I'm not worried. But I'd sure like to know how my handkerchief happened to be found at the scene of the crime.
Well, whoever murdered Joe Hopwood must have planted it there.
Yeah, if only I could prove that.
Oh, Doug, listen. Bernie Mitchell has gone to Dawson to notify the Mounties. He's going to try to get hold of Sergeant Preston.
Oh, that's good news. If anyone can solve this case, Sergeant Preston is the man to do it. Yeah, but say, what have you got in the basket?
Oh, I brought you some food.
Beef stew. By golly, I thought I smelled something good.
Hope you haven't lost your appetite.
Oh, you just watch and see.
Sometime later that afternoon, after Ruth Leonard had left, a miner named Marcus Tate entered the store. There was an odd look of expectancy on Van Buckley's face as Tate approached the counter.
Well, how about it, Tate?
Can Doug Leonard hear us?
Not if we don't talk too loud. What took you so long? I thought we'd be seeing some action by this time.
Yeah, so did I. But it looks like we're out of luck.
Oh, what's the matter?
I hung around the cafe for 2-3 hours trying to get things stirred up. Then I moseyed up and down the creek talking to every miner I ran into. But it didn't do a doggone bit of good.
They believe Leonard's guilty, don't they?
Yeah, most of them do, but not all of them. Trouble is, Leonard's got a lot of friends. And all the miners have a heap of respect for his wife. Even the ones who think he's guilty don't take to the idea of lynching him without a fair trial. Especially after they found out about his sled runner being broke.
That's not so good.
And I'll tell the world it's not so good. We figured that handkerchief would be enough to get him strung up in short order. But it hasn't worked out that way. And now Bernie Mitchell has gone to Dawson to get the Mounties.
Yeah, so I heard. Once those redcoats start poking around, there's no telling how many clues they'll turn up.
They may even wind up pinning the murder on us. Do you realize that?
Redcoats, they drink coffee.
Maybe there's a way we can settle this whole business before the Mounties ever get here.
What's going on there?
You got some kind of scheme?
Dogs.
Yeah.
Half wolf.
I think this one ought to work out for sure.
For Pete's sake, let's hear it.
All right, here's what I got in mind. Suppose you come around tonight sometime after I close up the store. We'll tell Leonard that the miners are all stirred up. They're forming a lynch mob. They're apt to come here and get him any minute.
You're going?
In order to save his neck, we'll tell him he'd better clear out. You say you'll take him to a cave you know about in the woods and guard him till Bernie Mitchell gets back from Dawson with the Mounties. Which won't be till sometime late tomorrow.
And then what happens?
After you leave, I'll give myself a bump on the head. Enough to make a bruise so it'll look as though Leonard knocked me out. Now wait for a half hour or so and spread the alarm. I'll say Leonard got hold of a gun, made a getaway.
And what am I supposed to be doing in the meantime?
As soon as you get Leonard out in the woods, put a bullet through his head and bring his body back to Tom. You can say you met up with him while he was making his getaway. He pulled a gun on you, so you shot him in self-defense.
There's just one thing wrong with your plan.
Now, what's that?
Leonard has no gun, and there's no way to explain how he got hold of one.
That's where you're wrong. There is a way to explain.
Well, then explain it to me.
A little while ago, Leonard's wife came here with a basket of food for him. There must have been half a dozen guys hanging around out in front of the store who can testify to that. Who's to know but what she had a gun hidden in that basket?
Yeah. By thunder, Buckley, I gotta hand it to you. That's plenty smart plan. When people hear how Leonard slugged his way out of here, they're bound to think he's guilty.
And not only that, you plant a gun in his possession to back up our story.
Sure. Just leave it to me, Buckley. The plan's a cinch to work out.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Preston and Bernie Mitchell were urging their teams forward at top speed over the hard-packed trail. As the sun dropped below the horizon and the short Arctic day began closing in, they were still a considerable distance from Wolf Creek. Finally, the sergeant called a halt.
Okay.
What's wrong, Sergeant?
If we leave the trail here and cut through the hills and across the lake, we can save several miles.
Yeah, I reckon so. But we may find it rough going. Besides, the ice on the lake's getting mushy. It could be dangerous.
We'll have to chance it.
No,
Get ready. Do you suppose we'll get there in time?
I don't know. It's getting dark. Which means the miners will soon be quitting work and heading for the cafe.
Yeah.
If there's going to be trouble, that's when it's likely to come.
Well, by Sunday, if they lynch Doug, that poor cat Tate ought to be strung up himself.
No use getting worked up now, Bernie. We'll just have to travel fast and hope for the best. Come on, let's march.
Right, Sergeant.
Hawking, hi, Husky.
That night, Doug Leonard was just dozing off in the storeroom when he heard the door being unlocked. A second later, Van Buckley and Marcus Tate came into the room. They looked tense and excited.
What's up, Buddy? The miners are all stirred up about you killing Joe Hopwood and stealing their gold. I tell you I'm innocent. It don't matter whether you're innocent or not. They think you're guilty, and that's all that counts. A bunch of the boys down at the cafe are forming a lynch mob right now. A lynch mob? That's what I said. They're getting ready to string you up higher and Heyman.
Holy mackerel. You're going to have to clear out of here, Doug. It's the only way you can save your neck.
Yeah, but where'll I go?
Tate's got his sled and dog team waiting out back of the store. He'll take you out in the woods.
Yeah, I know a cave where you can hide out till the Mounties get here.
By thunder, that's mighty white of you, Tate.
Oh, never mind thanking me. Just get your parka on. Let's get going.
Right.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Preston and Bernie Mitchell were rapidly approaching Wolf Creek. About half an hour after Doug had left with Marcus Tate, they arrived in the settlement and halted their teams in front of the general store.
Okay, hold on. Come on, Bernie.
Yeah, looks like Buckley is closed up for the night, eh?
Yes, there's a light through the shutters.
Yeah, I wonder what's keeping him.
Now, wait a minute. I think I hear someone coming.
Yeah, he's coming all right.
As Van Buckley opened the door, they saw him sway dizzily and clutch at the door frame for support. There was a livid bruise on his forehead.
Sergeant Preston. Holy smoke, Buckley. What happened to you?
Here, you'd better let me help you to a chair.
Thanks. Take what you got here.
What happened?
Doug Leonard has escaped.
Escaped?
How'd it happen?
He was locked up in the storeroom. A while ago, I heard him rap on the door to attract my attention. When I asked him what he wanted, he told me he was feeling awful sick, so I opened up. Then he shoved a gun in my ribs.
Didn't anyone search him before he was locked up?
Oh, sure, he was searched all right. He had no gun at that time. I know that for a fact.
Then where'd he get the gun?
There's only one possible answer, Sergeant. His wife came here today, brought him a basket of food. She must have had the gun hidden in that basket.
All right, go on with your story.
Well, there's not much more to tell. He made me get my hands up. He swung the gun at me all of a sudden, knocked me out.
Any idea how long you were unconscious?
I don't think it was very long. I remember it was close to 9 o'clock when he rapped on the door.
Well, let's see. It's 26 after 9 right now.
In other words, he escaped about a half an hour ago. Where's the storeroom?
It's back here. I'll show you. Here it is. What are you going to do?
See if King can pick up his scent. Did he use this blanket at all?
Yeah, he was lying on it part of the time.
Here, King. Fine, boy, fine.
You think King will be able to trail him?
Yes, I'm sure of it. He has the scent.
Wait, Sergeant, if you're going after Doug, I'm going with you.
All right, Bernie, let's go.
After leaving the general store, Doug and Marcus Tate had headed northward along a narrow trail which penetrated deep into the forest that bordered Wolf Creek. Doug was riding the sled while Tate handled the team. For some time, neither man had spoken. And Tate suddenly shouted to the Huskies,
Oh, there, you Huskies. Oh. What are we stopping here for? There's no cave around here, is there?
I wouldn't know about that, Leonard. Get up off the sled.
What's it? Hey, what's the idea of the gun?
I said get up off the sled.
What are you going to do?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a bullet right through your heart.
I don't get this. It doesn't make sense. I thought you were taking me out here to save me from a lynch mob.
Sure, that's what we told you. But it was just a trick.
A trick?
That's right. There was no lynch mob. We just told you that story so you'd come along peaceable like. Fact of the matter is, Buckley's going to say you got hold of a gun and escaped. When the miners hear that, they'll all be convinced you're guilty.
Wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to understand. It must have been you and Buckley who framed me in the first place. And it was you two who killed Joe Hopwood.
Hey, you catch on fast, Leonard. Sure, it was me and Buckley who killed Hopwood. Then after I cleared up with the gold, Buckley spread that cock and bull story about coming back to the store and finding his boss dead.
Yeah, but what about my handkerchief? How did you get hold of that?
It so happens you lost that handkerchief at the store. Dropped out of your pocket one day when you went to pay the bill. Buckley found it, and that's what gave him the idea of framing you.
As Doug kept Tate talking, his mind was working at a feverish pace. Suddenly a plan occurred to him, a plan that offered a slim ray of hope.
You and Buckley are mighty smart, Tate. But even though you get away with Hopwood's murder, you can't get away with killing me.
What makes you think not?
Because there's no one you can frame for my murder.
We won't have to frame anybody. See, I'm going to claim I met up with you accidentally while you were making your getaway. I'll say you pulled a gun on me, so I had to plug you in self-defense. Hey, you keep looking over my shoulder for all the time.
Oh, I wasn't looking over your shoulder.
Oh, yes, you were. Suppose you're trying to make me think someone's sneaking out in back of me,
Don't be a fool. How could anyone sneak up in back of you without you hearing him?
Praise thunder, you're up to something, Leonard. Reckon I better plug you
Got him, Bernie?
Hey, what?
In spite of himself, Tate was thrown off guard by Doug's sudden shout. Instantly, Doug sprang at him, grabbing his gun arm. For several moments, the two men struggled desperately. And then suddenly, the gun went off. With a groan, Tate collapsed in the snow. Doug stared at him, wide-eyed and horror-stricken.
I've killed him.
A terrible realization swept over Doug's mind. Who would believe his version of what had happened? Especially after Buckley had spread word that he escaped from the store at gunpoint. Instead of being accused of one murder, he would now be accused of two.
I've got to get away from here.
Almost instinctively, Doug picked up the gun which had fallen from Tate's hand. He stuffed it in the pocket of his parka, and then he ran toward the sled and grabbed hold of the handlebars.
Mush! Mush, you Huskies! Mush!
Urging the team forward at top speed, Doug continued along the same trail for about half a mile. And then he turned off on a branch trail which would take him to his own cabin. When he arrived there a short time later, a light in the window told him that Ruth was still awake.
Oh, go down, boy. Oh.
Doug, what's happened? Tell me.
I just killed a man.
Killed a man? Oh, no, I don't believe it.
It's true, I tell you, honey.
Oh, not Van Buckley.
No, Marcus Tate.
Oh, for heaven's sake, darling. Sit down and tell me the whole story.
Yeah. Tate came to the store tonight. He and Buckley told me that a mob was forming the cafe. A lynch mob. They told me I'd have to clear out in order to save my neck.
You mean Buckley let you go free?
Yeah, but it was just a trick.
A trick?
That's right, honey. He and Tate cooked it up between them. And what's more, they killed Joe Hopwood.
Oh, Doug, are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure, the dirty skunks. Wait till I tell you what happened. Tate said he'd take me out to a cave he knew of. A place where I could hide out till things quieted down. But after we got up in the woods a ways, he pulled a gun on me.
But why?
To kill me, that's why. Don't you see, honey, Buckley's going to say I escaped from the store. That'll convince everyone that I'm guilty. Then Tate was going to claim that he met up with me in the woods. But I pulled a gun and he had to shoot in self-defense.
Oh, you still haven't told me what happened.
Well, after Tate pulled the gun, I grappled with him. And the gun went off accidentally.
And killed Tate?
That's right. I left him lying back in the woods.
Oh, Doug, this whole thing is a nightmare.
It's worse than a nightmare, honey. This is real. Before, I had a chance of convincing the Mounties that I'm innocent. But now, if they catch me, I'm certain to hang.
The scent was fresh, and with King leading the way, Sergeant Preston and Bernie Mitchell soon arrived at the spot where the shooting had taken place. They saw a man's body sprawled in the snow.
Okay, hold on. Hey, holy mackerel, Marcus Tate.
Marcus Tate. And this is the man who was talking against Doug at the cafe this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Shady. You suppose Doug shot him?
Looks that way, Bernie. There's only one other set of footprints in the snow besides Tate's. Chances are they're Doug's.
Is Tate dead?
No, his pulse is still beating. Bullet went through his shoulder. The sergeant took a small flask of brandy from his sled and forced it a little between the wounded man's lips. Tate's eyes flickered momentarily. Then he lost consciousness again. Still a shock. I'll put a bandage on his wound. Bernie Mitchell watched as the sergeant attended to the wounded man.
Thunder, I still can't believe that Doug is a killer.
There are a lot of things about this case that don't ring true, Bernie.
What do you mean?
Well, for one thing, why didn't Doug tie Buckley or lock him in the storeroom before he made his getaway?
Well, maybe he didn't think it was necessary. After all, he knocked him unconscious.
Yes, but how long could Doug count on him staying that way? Buckley might have come to a minute later and spread the alarm.
By golly, that's true.
Another thing that seems strange is the fact that he hit Buckley on the forehead.
What's strange about that?
A natural thing would have been to make his victim turn around before hitting him. That way, there'd be no danger of Buckley grabbing his arm and putting up a fight.
Say, you don't suppose Buckley was telling us a pack of lies, do you?
I don't know what to make of it, Bernie. The oddest thing of all is that Tate and Doug were traveling together.
How do you figure that out?
You can see for yourself, there's only one set of sled tracks.
Say, that's right. Well, doggone, this sure beats me.
Bandage will do for the time being. Going to put him on your sled, Bernie.
Right, I'll take his feet. What do you want me to do, Sergeant?
Take him back to the store.
Yeah?
Buckley will have what's needed to dress the wound properly. In the meantime, King and I will follow Doug's trail.
Okay, Sergeant. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Bernie.
All right, boys. Up front. Find the thing.
Line them up, bro.
Rush,
you husky.
You're getting tired,
Oh, there. Oh, there.
When Bernie arrived back at the store, he lifted Tate from the sled and carried him inside. Sam Buckley greeted him with a look of open-mouthed astonishment.
What? Why, that's Tate you're carrying. Yeah, sure it's Tate. What does it look like? Come on, give me a hand with him, eh?
Yeah, sure.
Where'll we put him?
In the back room. Lay him down here in the bunk. What in blazes happened?
Oh, we found him on the trail. Someone had plugged him.
It must have been Doug Leonard.
Yeah, I reckon sure.
What about Sergeant Preston?
Well, he's still following up Doug's trail. He told me to bring Tate back into the store.
Is he badly wounded?
It could have been worse. He was drilled through the shoulder. Sergeant Preston put on a temporary bandage, but the wound still has to be dressed. The sergeant figured you'd have what was needed here at the store.
Sure, I have antiseptic and bandages.
All right, get him out. Start heating some water. We'll see if we can't get this fella patched up properly.
Doug Leonard sat at the table in his cabin with his head propped up in his hands. Ruth was bending over him sympathetically.
Doug, you've got to give yourself up. It's the only way.
I tell you, I can't, honey. If I do, I'm sure to be convicted.
Well, if you don't, it'll be taken as an admission of guilt.
What difference does that make? No one will ever believe my story now.
Buckley will claim I escaped from the store to avoid hanging. And it'll look as though I shot Tate when he tried to stop me from making a getaway. Oh, I haven't got a chance.
But if you don't give yourself up, what are you going to do? You don't want to be hunted for the rest of your life.
I'd rather be hunted than hanged. I shouldn't even be here now. The minute Buckley spreads the alarm, this is the first place they'll come looking for me.
Get your hands up, Doug.
Oh, God, Sergeant Preston.
Don't reach for that gun. I don't want to have to shoot you. Now back away from the table. That's better. Now then, I have your gun, so you may put your hands down.
I suppose you've come to arrest me.
I may arrest you eventually. First, I want to hear your story of what happened tonight.
All right. You won't believe me, but what I'm going to tell you is the truth, Sergeant. In the first place, I didn't escape from the store, as Buckley has no doubt told you. He and Tate tricked me into going.
Tricked you? How?
By telling me the miners were all stirred up and a mob was coming to lynch me. Tate offered to take me out to a cave he knew of where I could hide out temporarily.
I see. What happened after you and Tate got out in the woods?
He pulled a gun on me. He said he was going to kill me and then claimed he had to shoot in self-defense. And by luck, I managed to catch him off guard. We grappled for the gun and, well, it went off and Tate was killed.
No, Doug, you're wrong.
Wrong? What do you mean?
Tate wasn't killed. He was only wounded.
Doug!
Are you sure of that?
Of course, I'm sure. I bandaged his wound.
Oh, Doug, isn't it wonderful?
Oh, I can hardly believe it. And I suppose you don't believe the story I've just told you, do you, Sergeant?
On the contrary, Doug, I do believe it. It's the only explanation that accounts for all the facts. But what about the murder of Joe Hopwood? Tate have anything to say about that?
He admitted that he and Van Buckley had done it. That's why they staged this business tonight. They wanted to convince everyone I was guilty.
I suppose they planted your handkerchief in front of the safe.
That's right, sir. It turned out I'd lost it at the store and Buckley found it. That's what gave him the idea of framing me.
I see.
Sergeant, does this mean Doug may go free?
Well, I can't guarantee that just yet, Ruth. Even though I believe Doug's story, the miners may want him brought to trial. Aside from what Tate told Doug, which of course he'd deny in court, we have no definite proof that he and Buckley are guilty.
Oh, what sort of proof can we possibly get?
The most convincing proof would be to find the stolen gold in their possession.
They must have hidden it away somewhere.
Well, they won't have it lying around out in the open, that's for sure. But I think there's a good chance that Tate may have some of it at his cabin.
Why Tate?
Because no one had any reason to connect him with the robbery. Therefore, he'd be taking no risk in keeping the gold at his cabin.
See, stop to think of it, I'll bet you're right. When Tate was spouting off to me, he mentioned that he cleared out with the gold before Buckley spread the news of Joe's murder.
Get your flag on, Doug. We'll go search his cabin right now.
Right, Sergeant.
After helping Buckley attend to the wounded man, Bernie Mitchell left the general store and headed for the Leonard's cabin, intending to report the news of the night's events to Mrs. Leonard. Meanwhile, Tate had recovered consciousness. As soon as Bernie had gone, Buckley said,
Now, for Pete's sake, tell me what really happened.
When I went to shoot Leonard, he put up a fight. Grabbed hold of my gun hand. Well, we were wrestling around. The gun went off and I got plugged.
You stupid jughead, what's wrong with you? You had the drop on him, didn't you?
Well, sure, but he caught me off guard.
Oh, you really messed up this deal for us. When Preston catches up with Leonard, that guy's gonna talk his head off.
I'll let him talk. No one's gonna believe his story.
How do you know what they'll believe? Suppose Preston gets suspicious and comes snooping around your cabin.
Holy mackerel, I never thought about that.
I'll start thinking about it.
We better get that gold out of there pronto. Find some other place to hide it.
You feel strong enough to make it down the creek to your cabin?
Not on foot, I don't, but I reckon I'll be all right if you take me there on your sled.
All right, let's get going.
As Van Buckley and Marcus Tate left the general store, the sergeant and Doug were just arriving at Tate's cabin.
Okay. Come on, Doug, we'll go inside.
Right.
Must have a lamp around here somewhere. Oh, there's a lamp on the table. Wait a second.
The sergeant struck a match and lit the lamp. As the soft glow of the oil flame dispelled the darkness, the two men looked around at the interior of the cabin.
Where do you suppose he'd hide the gold?
No telling, Doug. Only ways to go over the cabin foot by foot.
How we go at it?
Doesn't make any difference. Suppose you take one half of the cabin, I'll take the other.
All right, Sergeant. I'll cover this head.
The two men began making a thorough search for the stolen gold. It was Sergeant Preston who finally discovered where the loot had been hidden.
Think I found it, Doug?
Where? In the wood box?
Yes, hidden away under these logs.
Good for you, Sergeant.
There must be at least a dozen folks in here. I'll open one of them.
Chock full of gold dust.
Yes, the evidence we were looking for. Here, put this poke on the table and I'll pull out the others.
Right. Reach, both of you, it's Buckley and Tate.
That's right, and we're holding guns.
Well, this is an unexpected pleasure.
Don't mention it, Preston. The pleasure's all ours.
So, you found out where we had the gold hidden, huh?
Yes, it wasn't too difficult. The
little imagination, you could have found a much better hiding place.
Too bad for you we didn't. Because now we're going to have to get rid of both of you.
I take it you're admitting that you killed Joe Hopwood.
Sure, why not? You'll never get a chance to arrest us for the murder.
Who knows? Maybe you're right. But I can promise you this. No matter where you go or how much you try to cover up your crime, the Northwest Mounted...
As the sergeant kept the crook's attention focused on himself, he could see King out of the corner of his eye, moving cautiously along the wall.
You're mighty sure of yourself, aren't you, Preston?
Yes, you'll soon know why.
King! As Buckley went down under King's attack, he knocked against the other crook's wounded shoulder. With a gasp of pain, Tate swerved to fire at King, but the sergeant's gun flashed out of its holster.
Oh, my hands!
Stand right where you are, Tate.
Call off this dog! Get him away from me!
Pick up the guns, Doug, while I keep them covered.
Right, Sergeant. I have him.
All right, King. On guard, boy. Get up on your feet, Buckley. And both of you back up against that wall. I'm arresting you in the name of the Crown for the murder of Joe Hopwood.
Sergeant, there was some shooting the way you blasted that gun out of Tate's hand.
I wouldn't have had a chance to shoot if it hadn't been for King.
Believe me, I'm mighty grateful to both of you. You cleared me of a murder charge, and King saved our lives.
It's not the first time he saved my life, Doug, and it probably won't be the last. However, we've captured the real killers of Joe Hopwood, and we have the evidence we need to convict them, which means that this case is closed.
In our next adventure, two men are talking just outside the general store in Selkirk.
Hey, Smitty, that Frenchman in the store was boasting about all the fine furs he had stowed away up at his place.
Well, what about it?
We're gonna trail him to his place. We'll grab those furs while he's sleeping, then head for Whitehorse, where we'll be able to sell them. Now let's get back out of sight so he won't see us when he leaves.
Robbing the simple Frenchman of his furs seems like an easy job to the two crooks. But if Sergeant Preston and King hear about it and try to trail them, it may mean they'll face death at the hands of two desperate men. Be sure to hear this exciting adventure next Saturday. These radio dramas, a feature of the Challenge of the Yukon Incorporated, are created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Enterprises, directed by Fred Flowerday, and supervised by Charles D. Livingston. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. They are brought to you every Saturday and Sunday.
Let's see how much Skynet hates us tonight.
This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye and good luck until next Saturday. This program came from Detroit. Today's most popular heroes of outdoor adventure are heard every weekday afternoon from 5 to 6 o'clock. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Mark Trail roams the wilderness. Clyde Beatty defies the beasts of the jungle. And Victor Borga entertains with 5 minutes of musical laughs. Tuesday and Thursday, there are the Indian heroes Straight Arrow riding to uphold justice, Sky King zooming to supersonic action, and Bobby Benson, the cowboy kid, in tales of Western daring. Listen to Mutual's Hour for Fun with Mark Trail, Clyde Beatty, Victor Borga, Straight Arrow, Sky King, and Bobby Benson over most of these stations every weekday afternoon. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
You're listening to Chin Radio AM 1540, the voice of multicultural Toronto, bringing you the latest updates on COVID-19. Stay informed, stay safe, and stay tuned to Chin Radio AM 1540.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield is best for you. First cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the burglary detail. A wave of burglaries has broken out in your city. The thieves are fast. They're clever. Your job? Get them. years ahead of them all. Chesterfield is years ahead of them all. The quality contrast between Chesterfield and other leading brands is a revealing story. Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest. Chesterfield quality highest, 15% higher than its nearest competitor. Chesterfield quality highest, 31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Yes, Chesterfield is first, with premium quality in both regular and king size. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, December 10th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith, the boss of Chief Detective Stab Brown. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 10:14 a.m. when we got to the Armstrong Schneider Jewelry Company, the manager's office.
Can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. Police officers, we'd like to see Mr. Armstrong.
Oh, yes, just a minute. The police officers are here. Yes, sir, right away. Will you go right in, please?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Armstrong's office. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, but he's in a meeting.
Won't you come in? Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. Mr. Armstrong? Yes. It's my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do? Won't you sit down?
Thank you very much.
Would you like a cigarette?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks.
I have a lighter. As you know, this firm is probably the foremost fine jewelry store on the coast.
Yes, sir. I wonder if you'd tell us about the theft.
Yes. Well, we discovered it this morning.
About what time was that?
Well, about 9:45. That's when we missed it. I guess the necklace was taken about 9. Must have been right after we opened.
Could you give us a description of the piece, sir?
Yes, I have it right here. Got it from the insurance records. Have a drawing of it. We always have that done on high-priced items. Here you are.
Thank you. What value do you place on the necklace?
It's insured for $8,000. Firm can't afford to take a loss like that.
Could you tell us exactly how it was taken?
Yes, I can. It was just after 9. We just opened the front doors. People had started to come in. Lots of shoppers. Christmas, you know.
Yes, sir.
Well, this one couple came in, asked to see some of our more expensive necklaces. Henderson brought the tray out of the safe and showed the collection to the people.
Henderson?
Yes. He's the clerk who was waiting on the people.
Oh.
I gave him his notice. I had to. It looks to me like carelessness.
Wonderful you talked to him.
Yes, all right.
Thank you.
Miss Courtney, would you have Henderson sent in here, please? Yes, right away. What? No, tell him I'll call later. That's right. Have him leave the number and I'll call back. Right, yes. He'll be right in.
All right, thank you. How long has this Henderson been working here?
I'd have to check the employment records to be sure. Offhand, I think it's been about 5 years. Ever since we opened at this location. We used to have a store downtown, then we moved out here.
Where did he work before that?
Well, let me see. I think it was someplace up north. San Francisco, I believe. Yes, he worked in a store up there. Had excellent references. He's a good salesman.
But you gave him notice, huh?
Well, I felt it was the only thing to do. If he's getting careless, he has no business working in a store that deals with expensive merchandise. Excuse me. Yes? Send him right in. What? No, please tell him to call later. No, I'm not into anyone. No one but Sharon. My wife.
Yes, sir.
Come in.
Do you want to see me, Mr. Armstrong?
Yes, come right in, Henderson. These are police officers, Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith. This is Charles Henderson.
How are you? Hi.
How are you? They'd like to ask you some questions about the theft.
Yes, sir. Anything I can do to help? Could you give us a description of the couple you waited on?
Yeah, I think so. The man was about 35, maybe 40.
About how tall was he?
Well, maybe 5'11". Might have been 6 feet. I'd say he weighed about 155 pounds, something like that.
Uh-huh. How about his coloring, his complexion?
It was light. Looked like he'd been out in the sun, though. His nose was all sunburned. I noticed it because you don't often see people with sunburns like that this time of the year. You know, December.
Mm-hmm. How was he dressed, do you remember?
He had a gray hat on, gray chalk-striped suit on, flannel blue shirt, maroon tie. Didn't see his shoes. He had on one of those new round collars, though. You know, rounded here on the collar point.
Mm-hmm. Was he clean-shaven?
No,
No, I had a little mustache, one of those that looks like it's drawn on with an eyebrow pencil. Just a line, you know the kind. Uh-huh. How about the woman? What'd she look like? There's a small woman, not much more than 5'2", little, about 100 pounds. Real pretty. She had dark hair and blue eyes, very fair. I noticed it because I thought at the time that maybe she dyed her hair. Mm-hmm. Did you have any marks or scars you saw? No, I don't think so, no. How was she dressed? She was a little too overdressed, had a dress and a coat, had a jewel clip here on her dress. She looked kind of flashy, cheap, you know. I see. Anything about the way they talked and the accent, anything like that? No, nothing I can remember. Would you remember if either one of them wore glasses, maybe? No. The man, though, he had a kind of funny way of talking. What do you mean? Well, he sounded sort of like one of those pitch men on TV, you know, the kind that sell kitchen gadgets, things like that. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us what happened, what they said when they came in, how they took the jewels? Yes, they came in right after we opened and asked to see something in necklaces. Said they wanted to pay around $5,000. Mm-hmm. So I brought out the tray, but didn't find anything that they liked. And then I brought out the other tray. They looked at one of the necklaces. Beautiful thing, $8,500. You know, Mr. Armstrong, the emerald-cut diamond with the small sapphires?
Yes, I know the one. Beautiful thing.
Excuse me, can I use that ashtray a minute? Yeah, thank you. I wonder if you'd go on, please. Oh, sure. Well, I brought out the other tray and showed them the necklaces in it. They both looked for a long time. Then the woman said that she didn't think there was anything there she wanted.
Mm-hmm. What was the matter? Didn't they care for our designs?
No, it wasn't that, sir. They just didn't see anything they liked. So they moved back to the other tray. And then the woman said she'd found what she wanted. It was a small piece, 3 diamonds and 4 small rubies. Did they buy that? No, they said they wanted to think about it. They made a big thing about asking me if I thought that it would be sold before they could make up their minds. Mm-hmm. Well, I told them if they wanted to put a small deposit on it, we could hold it for them. Yeah. Ben said he'd rather not do that. He said they'd know by this afternoon. At that time, there were several people in the store, Christmas shoppers, you know. Mm-hmm. Some of them were looking at a display of bracelets we had on the counter. I went over to them to see if there was anything I could do. You know, tell them that I'd get someone to wait on them. I understand. It's a foolish thing to do, I know that.
I'm afraid it was.
Yeah, I know now. Well, when I got back, the couple was leaving. They told me they'd be in this afternoon and let me know. Walked out of the store, and I stopped to help a gentleman that came in. When I turned back to the trays, I noticed the necklace in the more expensive tray was gone. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to give us positive identification of these people if you ever saw them again? Yes, I'm sure I would. Wonder if you can come downtown with us and look at some pictures, see if you can identify the thieves for us. Of course, if Mr. Armstrong has no objection.
Not at all. You'd like me to come along, too?
I don't think that'll be necessary right now. If there's anything we need, we can get in touch with you here, can we?
Yes, right here at my home. I can give you that number.
All right, fine.
Okay. Here it is.
Thank you, sir. Well, thanks very much. You ready to go? Yes, sir. I'll get my hat.
Just a minute, Henderson.
Yes, sir.
As soon as you get through down there, come on back. Your job's waiting for you.
All right, sir. I'd like to come back.
Anything I can do to help, just let me know.
All right, Mr. Armstrong.
Not at all.
I'll get my hat and meet you at the door. Right. Have you notified the insurance company of the theft yet, Armstrong?
I have a call into them now. I'm expecting an agent from the firm any minute. Sure hope you can recover it.
Yes, sir. We'll do the best we can.
An $8,000 necklace. How do you think they'll go about disposing of it? Break it up?
Well, either that or leave it in one piece.
That'll make it kind of hard to unload, won't it? $8,000?
Not at their price. 10:37 a.m. We talked to the other people in the store. From them, we got verifying descriptions of the 2 thieves. 11:32 a.m. Frank and I took the clerk, Charles Henderson, down to the city hall and had him go through the mug books. We got out a local and an APB on the pair of thieves, and a description of the stolen necklace was prepared for the Daily Bulletin. The insurance company that underwrote the necklace got in touch with us and said that they were getting out printed circulars to jewelers throughout the country. The victim was unable to make an identification from the mug books. We had the MO of the theft run through the staff's office, but when the possibles were checked out, we had no new leads. Further interrogation of the owners and employees of the stores in the immediate vicinity of Armstrong and Schneider failed to turn up anything new. The theft was not a new one. For the past 6 weeks, there had been a series of burglaries taking place out on Wilshire Boulevard. Most of them had been exclusive women's stores or jewelry shops. To date, all of them had been articles of small individual value, none that approached the value of the necklace taken from Armstrong and Schneider. In an attempt to apprehend the thieves, all of the usual avenues of sale of stolen goods had been checked. None of the precautions apparently did any good. The thefts continued. Another 2 weeks passed. In that time, the thieves hit 3 times, all in the same general area. The employees of the victimized stores were questioned. From the information we got from them, we could be certain that the suspects were the same ones we were after. On Tuesday, December 29th, Frank and I got back from checking a lead. Well, there's another one that went no place.
Yeah, you want to check the book?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Anything there?
Yeah, there's a call here from Alex Olson.
Olson?
Yeah. Got a Dunkirk number. You know Olson?
No, that name doesn't mean anything to me. Say what it's about?
No, just call him. It's important.
All right. Give me the number, huh?
Yeah. Here you go.
What is this, 190? Got a 9?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a 9.
You don't make 9s very good.
Low beat. Can't write.
Can I speak to Alex? Oh, Alex Olson. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The hotel.
Yeah.
Hello. Miss Olson? Yeah. This is Friday. Police Department. You want me to call you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. I remember, huh? Yeah, sure. We'd like to talk to you. Yeah. No, we'll come over there. That's right. You want to give me the address? Just a minute. Yeah. Okay. Right. Bye. Olson, he works for that carnival. You remember we talked to him last year? Says he wants to see us about some burglaries now.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Says he's in with the thieves. 11:26 a.m. We drove out to the address Olson had given me on the phone. We talked to the desk clerk at the hotel. He said that Olson had just moved in, and that during the time he'd been there, Olson hadn't talked much to any of the other people in the place. The clerk gave us his room number, and Frank and I went up to talk to him.
Who is it?
Joe Friday.
Oh, just a minute. All right, come on in.
Thanks.
All right.
Olson, this is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello. Yeah, I remember you. Sit down.
Thanks.
You want a drink?
No, thanks.
Oh, I gotta have one.
What was it you want to talk to us about, Olson? Olson? What was it you wanted to talk to us about?
Oh, man. What a hangover. I really get him.
Yeah, now let's get to the point, shall we? What's on your mind?
Oh, I'll tell you. I don't know why I drink so much. I feel terrible the next day. I always drink too much.
All right, now look, Olson, maybe you got a lot of time. We haven't. We didn't come over here to sit and watch you drink. Now get to the point. You said on the phone that you're in with a gang of thieves we're looking for. Now what about it?
What I told you on the phone is true. It's all true. I'm glad to tell you. Get it over. Get it all out in the open. That's what I need to do. Get it all out in the open.
You had any breakfast yet?
No, I just got up before I called you.
Is there any place around here you can get something to eat?
Don't make no difference around here. Nobody knows me. I think there's a place down the street right next to the hotel. But what's all this about food?
I think you'll feel better if you have something to eat, won't you?
No, wait a minute.
You've had enough of that. Put it down.
I don't want no food.
All right, we do. Let's go.
You guys are getting a little bossy, aren't you?
We want to hear what you got to say. You keep hitting that bottle, neither one of us is going to make it.
Come on, Bill. We'll buy you some breakfast.
You got a coat? It's cold out.
Oh, yeah. Sure glad you guys came. I'm glad to get this off my
Wait a minute. Those dresses in there. Woman's clothes. Those belong to you?
Oh, no. I'm just keeping them for a friend.
Well, labels on some of them here. They come from out on Wilshire, don't they?
You get a gold star. I'll tell you about them. That's part of the deal.
You want to tell us now?
Well, look, you made a deal about some coffee. Maybe it'll help me find my hands. Are you going to back out now?
All right, let's go. We'll come back.
You can come back. Take all the time you want to. Look the dresses over. I got some other stuff you'll want to see, too. But come on, let's go. Let's walk down now. Let's not take the elevator. It's too noisy. Murder.
All right.
What's this other stuff you wanted to show us, Olson?
The jewelry. I got some of it in the dressers. Cheap stuff. Nothing worth anything. It's cheap.
Where'd you get the clothes and jewelry?
Oh, Red asked me to keep him for him.
Who?
Well, he's the guy you want. He's the one that's engineering the thefts. He's the one. The real crumb. Big man. He's the one you want. I'd like to see you get him.
How many other people working with him?
3 others.
You know who they are?
Sure. I know the whole story, start to finish. I know the whole thing. I'll tell you all about it. Let's go out the side way.
All right. Now, where's this coffee shop?
Wait a minute. Sure you wouldn't like a belt?
No, and neither do you. Now, let's go.
Okay, you're calling it. Restaurant's right down here, just a couple of doors.
You know where this Red is?
Yeah, I'll tell you. He's the one you want.
How about the woman who works with him?
Oh,
That's May. Red's not the guy who goes into the stores, though. A fellow that works that part of the operation is his brother-in-law, a guy named Hank.
What was her name?
May.
This May. Is she the woman in the team?
Yeah. Red wouldn't trust anybody else. He's a big man, you know. You don't believe it, you just ask Red. He'll tell you. Big man, big bum.
That's the place.
Yeah. You price it? No, I guess you wouldn't.
Booth in the back, all right?
Yeah. Hey, Joe, it doesn't look like they got service in the booths. What do you want, Olson?
Well, it ain't what I want, but I'll settle for a cup of coffee.
Joe? Yeah, that's all right for me. I'll get it and bring it back. Come on, Olson, let's go back. Sit down. All right, now suppose you start right at the beginning and tell me about it, huh? Who's Red? How do they work the operation? Where can we find them? Tell us everything.
All right. Well, first off, Red's real name is Keith Jameson. They call him Red because he's got red hair, figures.
Yeah. What's he do for a living?
He works for Carney. Most of the year we're on the road. This is the off-season, so he's laying up in a trailer camp out in the valley. He doesn't do anything regular. He just steals.
Is he one of the owners of this carnival?
No, he runs a pitch game. You know, rings and the pegs. If you play real good, you can win a quarters worth of slum for $5.
Mm-hmm. How about his wife? She travel with the show?
Yeah, she travels. It ain't a regular show, not Red's party. Just got a concession, you know. He goes with the show like a leech. He's been thrown out of a dozen carnies for crooked stuff. His brother-in-law's a dip when we're on the road, picks pockets in the crowd around Red's place. He's gotten us all in a lot of trouble. No carny in the country will have us around anymore. It don't take him long to get wise to us.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that's in on the burglaries with Red and his wife, is that it?
That's right. He lists his stuff.
How about his wife? Where's she fit in?
Well, she's the distraction. You know, the one that comes up and asks questions, pulls the clerk away so Hank can lift the stuff. In case there's any trouble, Hank acts as lumber, too.
What do you mean, lumber?
Well, you know, muscle. He takes care of the guys that beef.
Mm-hmm. Hey, will you give me a hand with that, Frank?
Yeah, here. Look at my thumb. Stuff splashed on.
Any splitster? No, let's get hot coffee. Here, Olson.
Oh, thanks. Come on, pass the sugar, will you?
Yeah, here you are. Where do you fit into this, Olson?
No place, really. I'm just along for the ride. I think Red figures sometime the axe is going to fall and he wants my head under it. I usually hold on to the stolen stuff until Red finds a buyer.
Does he use a fence?
No, he pushes his stuff himself. He usually works on a tip. You know, if somebody wants to buy a piece of merchandise, Red meets him, sets up a deal.
Uh-huh. You willing to cooperate with us all along the line on this thing?
Sure, I'll go.
You know where the necklace is that they lifted a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, Red's got it. He's looking for a buyer now.
You think you can set up a meet for us?
Yeah, if you thought you wanted to buy the piece, it could be done.
Can you set up the meet?
Sure. I want to see you get him.
Tell me something. How are you going to come out on this if we pick up Red and the others? What do you want out of it?
I got my reasons. I got good reasons.
You want to tell us what they are?
Sure, I got no reason not to. Give me the sugar again.
Yeah.
You see, Red figures he's going to make a sideshow character out of me next season. I'm not going to go that route.
Yeah? What do you mean?
Oh, you know, the wild man from Borneo sit in a pit all day and yell at the customers. Pitch like that always draws a big crowd. Red figures it'll be good for picking pockets.
Yeah.
I don't know by now, Red's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Wild man from Borneo. Even a leopard skin won't help look at me. I only weigh 105 pounds.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Chesterfield is best for you. Listen to Chesterfield's record. For a full year and 2 months, a doctor has been making regular examinations of a group of Chesterfield smokers, and he reports no adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality in both regular and king size. Chesterfield. First choice with Young America. And that's from a survey of 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Remember, Chesterfield is America's best cigarette buy.
2:24 p.m. We continued to talk to Alex Olson. He told us what he knew of the operation of the thieves. We went back to his room and searched it thoroughly. We found several pieces of cheap costume jewelry and several of the stolen dresses. Most of the other things in his room were worthless. As far as we knew, had not been stolen. We took him down to the city hall and had him checked through R&I. He had an arrest record showing several arrests for being drunk in a public place. We checked the name Keith Red Jameson through the files. There was no record on him. There was no record in the moniker file either. Jameson's brother-in-law and the two women were also checked out, but we found no previous criminal record for either of them. Communications were gotten off to Washington to check the possibility that the suspects might have records in other states. 4:40 p.m. We met in Captain Wisdom's office. Olson told us that he'd arrange a meeting for us with Red. While we listened on an extension phone, he called the suspect, told him that he had a buyer for the necklace. A meet was set up for the following morning at the entrance to Alvera Street. Red said that he'd have the necklace with him at the time. 5:37 p.m. Frank, Olson, and I drove out to the trailer camp in the valley. We checked the trailer that Red lived in, and also the one his brother-in-law had. We got a good look at the car Red would drive to the meet, and then we arranged for a stakeout on the trailer park. 8:23 p.m. The three of us drove back down to the city hall.
You ain't gonna try and take him at the meet, are you?
We haven't got around to that yet. Why?
Well, you do, and it's gonna point straight at me. You ain't gonna put him away forever, you know. He's gonna get out, and he's gonna draw a straight line to me. I don't want that. I gotta be protected.
We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, big deal. You take care of me. Well, how? That's what I want to know. How you gonna do it?
We'll get him before he gets to the meet.
Here you go in here. Look, tell me, how you gonna work it?
We'll come up with a way.
You ain't gonna get near him in plain clothes. I'll tell you that right now. He'll spot you a mile away. Comes the cops. He's got eyes in the back of his head. You can't get anywhere near him in those clothes.
Don't worry, we won't. He'll be picked up for something else. We'll find the necklace on him if he's got it, and you'll never know that's what we're after.
How you gonna work it? How?
We'll be in uniform in a traffic car coming in from the valley. That might work, huh, Frank? Yeah, I think so. He's bound to make a mistake. When he does, we'll be there.
Yeah, that'll do it. He'll never figure out anything to do with that, never.
Yeah, it ought to work.
Yeah, that'll work good. Yeah. You guys wouldn't like...
No, we wouldn't. No booze.
Okay. I just noticed the bar across the street. I thought maybe you guys would like to stop there. I'd feel a little better about this if I had a drink. Just a little one. Come on now, bye.
Sorry, Alex. We gotta take you over to the main jail.
You got a what?
For the time being, we gotta hold you.
Now, wait, it ain't the jail that bothers me, not being in jail. It's just that I hear it's pretty rough to get a drink over at the Gray Bar Hotel, you know. That's the only thing that bothers me. There's no room service there.
Yeah, well, it'll all work out for you.
Well, I don't know. So I got mixed up in this thing. Seems like I got no choice in anything. It don't seem fair. I got no choice.
DA's office will know what you did. It'll be marked down that way.
Well, I got no beef with you guys. You better take it easy with Red, though.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's got a gun.
The following morning at 4:30 a.m., Frank and I were dressed in the uniform of traffic officers. We were parked 2 blocks from the trailer park in a traffic car. The meet with Red was scheduled for 9 a.m. The officers on stakeout at the trailer park told us that they'd seen no activity in Red's trailer the night before. From where we were parked, we could keep his car under constant surveillance. At 7:45 a.m., we saw the suspect and his wife come out of the trailer and get into the car. We followed them over to Ventura Boulevard, and from there down Coalinga Pass. We kept far enough behind them so that they'd have less chance of knowing that they were being followed. They turned by the freeway construction point and continued on down Coalinga Boulevard. When they got to the corner of Yucca and Coalinga, they made a mistake. They turned left from the wrong lane of traffic. Well, that's it. You want to hit the siren? Yeah. I got the light.
Going straight down Yucca, Joe.
Yeah. We'll find him, huh? Right. Okay, he sees us. He's pulling over.
I'll cover the other side.
Watch yourself.
Right.
What's wrong, officer? I didn't do anything.
See your operator's license, please?
Sure, it's in my pocket. I'll get it.
You want to get out of the car, please?
Well, I don't have to get out to show you my driver's
I'd like
license.
to have you get out of the car.
Don't argue with him, Red. Do what he says.
What's all this about, anyway? What do you stop me for?
You made an illegal left turn back there at Coalinga.
Illegal? Oh, you got the wrong guy. See that guy in front of me? He jumped the light something awful. He's the guy you ought to be after. He's the one, not me.
All right, move over to the car.
What?
Over by the car. Now put your hands up there. No, against the car.
I don't know what you mean.
Now come off it, Jameson. We meet.
Get out of here!
All right, Jameson, on your feet.
What are you doing? You got no right to beat him up like that. Big thing to make no left turn. What are you guys trying to prove? Just wait until the papers get this. We got friends here.
All right, lady, take it easy.
I won't take it easy. Man makes a mistake and you cops act like you were the judges. You got no right to treat a citizen like that.
Here, Frank, go ahead.
Yeah.
38 12. You play rough, don't you, Red?
Ah, shut up.
What's this, Red?
You leave that alone. It's mine. Doesn't concern you.
Now
necklace, Joe?
Yeah.
So it's a necklace. What's that proof? You got nothing on us. Write out the ticket for the left turn, let us go. That's all you got.
You got a permit for this gun?
No.
This necklace is stolen, you know that, don't you?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say anything till I see a lawyer. Nothing.
I knew this would happen. Always knew it about you. You're yellow. Willing to take a chance as long as you ain't going to be nailed. Let something go wrong and right away you start screaming for a lawyer. Poor excuse for a man. You took a chance and you lost. Well, don't be a coward about it. You got no excuse. None in the world. You got no excuse at all.
Well, that makes you even, lady.
Huh?
Neither of you.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 15th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. I sure hope you were listening real close to what George Fenneman had to say tonight, because it proves what I always tell you. You can't beat the premium quality you get in Chesterfield, regular or king size. I'd like you to try Chesterfields. They're much milder and they have a wonderful taste.
Henry Donald Swenson, Anna Catherine Swenson, and May Ruth Jameson were tried and convicted of 5 counts of burglary in the second degree. They received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years. Keith Walter Jameson was tried and convicted for receiving stolen property on 5 counts and received sentence as prescribed by law. Receiving stolen property is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period not to exceed 10 years. Because of his cooperation, Alex Robert Olson received a lighter sentence and was placed on probation. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Stacey Harris, script by John Robinson, music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now, new Fatima has the tip for your lips. Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for natural filtering. Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. So remember,
Natural filter.